It's become one of the signature bracelets in Vegas and in Rosvadov. Today, we find the winner of the Colossus. This is World Series of Poker Europe. It's the final table of the Colossus, a €550 buy-in and a first-place prize of more than €147,000. Welcome in to King's Resort in Rosvadov. Jeff Platt alongside WSOP bracelet winner David Williams in the broadcast booth. And David, today it does seem like it's anybody's ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of chips still around. I mean, I think there's 207 big blinds total amongst the 9 players. So 23 big blind average stack, levels of 40 minutes long, and all of the players, based on their earnings, seem to be all but one seem to be fairly new to this level of tournament, final table, something this prestigious. We do have one player with 6 figures, almost $1 million in winnings, but everyone else seems to have, 5 figures or less. So they're all fairly, I don't want to call them amateurs,
sure,
but they don't have these sort of the results that you would see at like a normal WSOP final table.
And that one player would be Andrea Ricci, who won the WSOP circuit main event at this very casino back in September for almost €300,000. Thank you so much for joining us on WSOP's YouTube channel as we welcome you inside and we take a look at our leaderboard. Our chip leader is Riadh Farhat. He has almost 13 million in chips. Matthew Calzoni right there. Then a little bit of a drop off. We find Edmond Jahjaga, Andrea Ricci, Zlatin Penev, Roman Krahula, Fotios Ntamaris, Gabriele Re, and Aurelio Reggi is our short stack.
4 Italians.
4 Italians, that is true. 2 at the very bottom with some work to do. 150K, 300K blinds.
Yeah, and with those short stacks, you're going to see some posturing, some laddering up from the middle stacks. Aren't going to want to make a mistake but let the pressure on the Aurelio with 4 big blinds and Gabriele with 9, let the pressure force them to make a move. Thus, if they bust out, everyone moves up and makes more money. So you'll likely see some play that you may not be familiar with people sort of waiting out the short stacks.
Our first pay jump is worth about €4,000. Our final 9 guaranteed €13,574, and all of them have earned a seat in the World Series of Poker Europe main event.
Oh, all 9?
All 9.
Wow, that seat itself is €10,000.
Exactly.
So that's almost as much as 9th place. So that's pretty cool, and you're going to get to see all these players in the main event. So I like that. I've always felt that bracelet events should do more things like that, sort of satellite people into the main, especially at an event like this that's €500 buy-in, €500 buy-in. You may not see some of these guys pony up €10,000 to play the main, but now they do.
2,478 entries across 4 starting flights of the Colossus. We have reached our final 9, fighting for a first-place prize of €147,775 and that coveted World Series of Poker bracelet. Jahjaga looks down at 2 9s in the hijack.
He's our oldest player here at the final table. Yeah, 9s is a really premium hand. You're going to obviously he's going to raise here. He raises to 720,000, almost 2.5 big blinds. Especially when you have the players looking to avoid conflict, 9s is a monster here. Late position in the hijack.
See what level we're in, bottom right corner of your screen, along with the size of the pot.
Big blind only has 9 big blinds and has an ace here.
It's Gabriele Re.
It's an interesting situation because, in a way, you have an ace, but you did just pay the big blind, and you're going to get to see 8 more hands after this before you're in the big blind again. But with your ace against a late position raise, you could stand to have the best hand if he has a hand like King Queen, something of that sort. But it's unlikely he's going to be mixing it up without a strong hand because of the dynamic of the short stacks around. So you already kind of know that on level 2, so you can go ahead and throw away your ace.
And a super short stack does exist in Aurelio Reggi, who is down to just 4 bigs.
And with the big blind ante, he's going to have to put in basically 2 bigs very soon. So he's going to be forced to make a move, and you can ladder up at least €4,000 if he's not successful. Suited ace early position pains him to have to throw that away, but he can't mix it up. I mean, these final tables, it's such a weird dynamic with pay jumps. Something you only really see in tournament poker.
That is our super short stack in Reggie. Can tell based on his facial expressions and his chip stack, it's been a bit of a frustrating day for him. They came back today with 10 players. Sporting
the Aussie Millions hat. Doesn't have much tournament experience based on his results, but I guess he's taken the trip across the water. Farhat on the dealer button with suited queen. Looks like he makes it 600,000. It's fairly standard there. You're going to raise a lot of your holdings on the button here, especially against the shorter stacks here. Fotios with only 15 big blinds. Again, he's got to be, you know, aware of the shorter stacks around, so it really constrains how he can play. As you see, he has a better hand here, but it takes a lot to get involved, especially when those short stacks are around you.
Can see him taking stock of the other player's stacks.
You know, I think he knows. He's like, you know, I could rip it here and I likely get it through and pick up some chips, but he's looking at those stacks, 4 big blinds, 9 big blinds. You know, he's third from the bottom. It would be kind of an EV tragedy if he were to sort of bust here with those players still in the tournament. I imagine he's going to come to the same conclusion and fold it, but again, he's cutting out some chips. He's going to take a peek.
The path to defending.
You can defend here and see what you flop. You know, he has enough chips. I am a big fan of, if you're going to play it, just rip it with a hand of, because more often than not, you're not going to make anything as here, and you're going to just have to check give it up because your opponent's going to, and you're just giving up that extra big blind, which, you know, every big blind helps here in this situation when you're kind of waiting out shorter stacks.
Farhat will continue to apply pressure, and the snap fold there from Ntamaris.
I mean, something to think about, you know, if he were to send it in, you know, he does put his opponent to a decision here himself. You know, it's a lot harder to call. 15 big blinds, his opponent's the chip leader right now, but if he loses those big blinds, he's right down there in the middle of the pack. So it is something for him to think about. And he also knows if you're willing to do that, it likely signifies a lot of strength. So he could do it, but again, it's just not worth the risk.
Yes. Of course. Now I understand it, too.
Can see the clock behind our players. 20 minutes left in this level, 40-minute levels throughout the course of this tournament.
Okay.
Just 5 high for Reggie here.
Every hand you fold, he's looking at that big blind getting closer and closer. He's going to lose about half his stack to the big blind.
King Jack for Andrea Ricci in the hijack.
He's sitting at about 28 big blinds. I think you can raise here. If you face some resistance, you can easily just let it go. But you do want to be accumulating chips while the players are being cautious.
He will make it 600K. Farhat with King 10 in the cutoff and as the chip leader.
I think it's just a little bit outside what you're looking for here to 3-better play.
How about ace queen for one of our short stacks, Gabriele Re?
So this is interesting. I mean, I think he's going to go all in. Oh, he just chooses to 3-bet, but it's effectively he's never going to put that in 1.3 million and fold with half his stack. So effectively, he's raising all in. He knows that. He does have an opponent with 4 big blinds. He could try to outlast, but ace queen stands to be the best hand against the hijack raise. More often than not, you're just going to pick up the blinds, and when you do get called, a lot of the times you have the best hand or you're coin flipping. It's hard to be beat here. You're really only crushed by ace, king, kings, queens, and aces. This should be a fairly easy fold for Ricci. I think this is posturing here just so he doesn't want to give away that he's raising light, but sometimes these decisions can just be quick and you can just fold it and move on. It doesn't mean you were raising light. You were doing what you were supposed to do with a hand like King Jack, and you found resistance, and now it's time to give it up.
And Ray did start the hand with just 7 bigs. little less.
Now, when you don't raise all in and you make this raise, you have to be prepared to just go all in on any flop. You know, you can't get scared on a flop and say, oh, no, it's king 7-8,
Right.
check fold. So by making this move, you have to be willing to just go all in on the flop. And he's kind of giving his opponent some rope so that maybe his opponent would
And here we go.
make a call. But his opponent chooses to put it all in.
Ray will be the one all in and at risk with ace-queen.
No.
I mean, I guess he's happy to see he's not dominated, but it's interesting all in because he started the hand with about 28 big blinds. So if he loses this, he's still in the middle of the pack. But
Yeah.
again, I think it's a little
Price
loose.
probably too good.
9-handed, I don't think you want to be calling 3-bet shoves from a short stack. With this hand, I mean, he does know his opponent's range probably includes all pairs. At least, you know, 5s or higher, so he's maybe hoping to see a pair for a flip. I doubt his opponent's doing it with like a king 10 type hand or a hand you're dominating. So, you know, I'd like to see a fold here when you raise that big blind with king jack.
The suspense.
The suspense is right. We like to build the drama on the all-ins.
A little less than a 2-to-1 favorite.
And here we go. Jack, 6 deuce. Ricci finds the jack on the flop to take the lead. Plenty of backdoor draws available for Ray, who could also find an ace or a queen.
Yeah, at least it's the jack and not the king. Still hit a queen.
Has backdoor clubs, backdoor straight draw. Turn card. It's another deuce.
It's got to get the bag on. You got to get the
Yeah,
backpack
that's
on.
right.
Get your bag on before that river comes. You double your odds.
Little walk away equity. Needs an ace or a queen.
If you
to
can
stay
get
alive.
out the door before the river card comes, it always comes.
River's a 9. That'll do it for Gabriele Re. Out in 9th place, 13,574 euros, and that seat to the World Series of Poker Europe main event.
So does that seat come out of the prize pool, or is that donated by the Kings or WSOP?
It's a
or
good question. They gave it to the final 10.
Mr. Ricci, Mr. Ricci.
I think it might come out of the prize pool here.
Can fold 6 big blinds.
I don't think so. If I fold pre-flop, yeah.
okay.
If I fold pre-flop, yeah. But if I raise
I don't have the
blind,
money
I have to call for
afford it.
That's what he's saying. Price was too good.
foldabile.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Even in this scenario,
I'm not
is
sure if I
yeah.
agree with that, but you know, now he's shot up the chip counts here. He's going to be in solidly, I think, in close to the chip lead. No, close to about 3rd place.
Yeah.
About 3rd place.
Still a nice start to the day for our most experienced player, and Andrea Ricci. There you see an updated leaderboard, and as you said, solidly in 3rd place. Reggie found about a 4K pay jump, sitting on a stack of just 4 bigs. Jeff Platt alongside David Williams. World Series of Poker Europe, the final table of the Colossus.
Johnny Hunter says he took the mask off as soon as he walked away, proving he was only wearing it to help hide tells. You know, I wore mine all summer.
Yeah.
That was one of the benefits is, yeah, I get to just, you know, cover my face. I don't give anything away. I like that. Also, sometimes my opponents didn't smell the best. It helped.
Yeah, and mask does help.
It helped a little bit. Ooh, 2 10s.
Farhat with the 10s.
Our chip leader here. In the cutoff. You'd raise with a lot worse than 10s. A couple easy folds from the blinds. And 4 high in the big blinds. Not going to do it.
Questo di più fold. 11.
How would you sum up your World Series of Poker in Las Vegas?
30 fold.
You know, started great and burned out. Not
Yeah.
me, not my I didn't burn out as in like I was tired. My results burned out. I started pretty hot, had visions of contesting for Player of the Year that first few weeks. I was like, oh man, let's do it. Started second place in my first event, and then after that it kind of went sour, and I realized, no, I am not a contender after seeing some of the results. Daniel, Phil, Jake, all these guys are putting up monster results. Then Josh came at the end and just smoked everyone the last 30 days. So
Josh was on fire. Congratulations to Josh Aria for winning World Series of Poker Player of the Year. Had to sweat it out till the final day, of course.
Yeah. You know, a lot of players were discussing, you know, should these events have counted or not.
Oh.
You know, and I think it's better off having their own individual Player of the Years. You know, there should be one for WSOP Europe. Not everyone can make the trip out here, and actually these events overlapped. These started event 1 while they were still playing in Las Vegas. So.
And with the current climate in this world, I think that was the right call. Reggie, all of it with the King Jack. Yeah, I mean, a little more than 4 bigs.
Yeah, it's got about 4 big blinds. You know, big blinds coming up soon. This is likely better than any hand you're going to get there. Might get called light. King Jack's hot, too.
That's true.
Heat check. I feel like that last guy always finds it, though. Here goes the king.
Calzoni will find the queen 4.
So it's only 1 more million to call for Calzoni. But with the pot, with the ante, small
hard
blind,
to fold anything.
He's getting 2 to 1. As we see, he's better than 2 to 1. 65-34.
And he folds.
Obstinated. Obviously, we can see the percentages and see the cards. He doesn't know that. Getting 2 to 1, I think he likely call there for 1 million with queen high. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to run the sims. You know, you can check it out, but
I think you probably would want to put the chips in there.
It's close, and as we saw, it was very close. And I think erring on the side of caution at the final table in this spot.
Sure.
You know, that has a lot of value.
About a 5K pay jump from 8th to 7th.
In the spots that are super close, I think you can err on the side of caution because it's better to wait it out and be patient. I think that has a lot more value.
And your short stack is only up to 7 bigs with the big blind coming up next stand. But you can go ahead and fold now, Mr. Reggie.
Yeah, you know.
You can keep the action going.
I guess he wanted to have an accurate count before he looked.
Yeah,
in case he
maybe.
found something good, but I always
could.
think it's better just to take a peek.
Right.
People do get bad hands. It's okay
Right,
to just
it's
fold one
fun.
quickly. You don't have to balance it with every hand, but that's okay. Ricci here with ace-10 off, under the gun +1.
Nice.
Some would say this might be a little loose, but if you know your opponents are being cautious and playing tight, you can open it up even more. Wisco Baron. Pretty funny comment.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Krahula with ace-queen on the button.
And I believe he's
About
our
13 bigs.
one of our shorter stacks, only
Yep,
4
all
million.
of it.
He's going to go all in here with ace-queen. Now, we did see Ricci call with King Jack for about 3 million total. It's a little bit more, but his hand is a lot better than the King Jack. I think it's, you know, to me it's a clear fold, even without seeing the cards.
Yeah.
But I also probably wouldn't raise ace-10 offsuit under the gun +1 at the final table, because you do run into situations like this where you're kind of put in a spot. Does he have 5s? Does he have 7s? Am I dominated by ace-queen? He obstinated this one down.
Goes the ace-10, the pickup there for Roman Krahula, who is a poker dealer. Total live tournament earnings entering this event, $824.
Well, he seems to have topped that by quite a bit.
I would say so.
It's $824. How much is a euro? I mean, is that close to the buy-in of a tournament?
Yeah.
You love to see it.
He's guaranteed 17,000 euros.
He's going to be playing in the main event.
Yeah,
he could
and
parlay
the main
this.
event. Right.
He could parlay this into, that's a 5 million euro guarantee in that main event. He could parlay this into €1 million.
Living that poker dream.
Ricci under the gun, queen 10 suited. He's been pretty active. You know he's going to raise this. The Ntamaris offsuit ace, middle position.
Bit of Hollywooding by Krahula. Calzoni with the king-queen off on the button, starting the hand with about 40 bigs.
I'd like to see a 3-bet here. Ricci's been very active. Those are the kind of guys you can 3-bet profitably. Don't have to have one of the premium hands. King-queen is likely better than a guy who's been playing every hand has shown.
That's what he'll do. He'll make it 1.9 million.
And I like that. The fairly large 3-bet. You know, Ricci's shown he's a little sticky. So against those kind of guys, you know, with king-queen, you want to go ahead and get your opponent to fold it. So raise a little larger. Put him to the test. 7-8 suited.
Oh, we're still waiting on Reggie here to count his chips before he looks at his cards.
All the three of the Italians in here. The only 3 left. It's only 31%. Not so bad. If he could see the cards, this might be a spot he'd choose to go with.
Right. But can't see how he possibly goes.
Yeah, not after an
with it
under-the-gun
here.
raise
Right.
and a 3-bet. Both of those actions are signifying a lot of strength. Much better to 3-bet all in with that type of hand from a late position raiser, so maybe you can get some fold equity. No, Ricci knows he's been active, so he knows his image to the other players is of that. So he could be thinking, you know, is he 3-betting me light? Do I have a 4-bet here? As we see, their stack sizes are fairly similar. Not a lot of wiggle room if you do 4-bet, unless it's all in. He's going to go ahead and give it up.
Calzoni picks up the pot. Matteo Calzoni, 29 years old, plays on GG quite often.
T'as pas dormi, Montes, no?
I wonder if any of these players know each other well. Like if
Good
any
question,
of them
yeah.
friends or they play a lot together.
Bravo.
Ecco.
Vi kan morgen med telefonen med Kate.
Calzoni second in chips, a bit more than 20% of the chips in play. We are watching along with you guys, so say hi to us in the YouTube chat. If you have any questions for us, throw them out there. Click that thumbs up button. Like our video, subscribe to the World Series of Poker channel. This is where our WSOP Europe streams are taking place. Jack 9 on the button for Edmond Jahjaga, starting the hand with about 30 bigs. Opens to 1 million here, goes more than 3x pre.
Yeah, it seems, again, look who's in the big blind. It's Ricci who's shown he's fairly sticky, so I think he's adjusting his raise size based on who's in the blind. We also have the short stack in the small blind, but I don't think that really affects. You're more likely you'd want to raise smaller there if that was the case.
Made sure to count the chips out, then look, then fold.
Ricci with a 6-high offsuit. Again, with this larger raise, he's likely giving it up, whereas with a min raise, he might defend here. I don't think it's actually a bad thing if your opponents are defending light and you have position on them, but Jahjaga may not want to play flops and just take it down.
Edmond Jahjaga out of Kosovo. Married with 2 kids. 43 years old, our oldest player at this final table.
You ever been to Kosovo?
I've not. You?
No, I have not.
You been to Razvadov?
Been to Prague, but not Razvadov.
Okay, same.
Prague is lovely in the winter. It's almost that time. Christmas time
That's
is,
right.
you know, they have the lights and the festival, I think. They saw the picture outside of King's Casino. I saw some decorations in the fountain. It looks pretty nice out there.
It's a beautiful casino.
9 million and 200. 31 blind.
Couple suited jacks hit the muck.
31
Tens for Krahula.
Don't believe we've seen him play a hand yet. He's got a little less than 20 big blinds.
He'll open here. Ace-10 of diamonds for Jahjaga in the cutoff.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot. I mean, normally ace-10 of diamonds fairly strong against a variety of the players opening, but you know, he hasn't played a hand yet. His stack size is kind of awkward with 19 to 16 big blindish. You know he's likely raising with a strong hand. Ace-10 could easily be dominated, but hey, it's suited. People love the suited aces, especially he can make a royal flush. Decides to just call. No reason to 3-bet here. I like it. He's in position. It's kind of hand you can play well in position.
Farhat will come along with the jack-deuce off.
Interesting call. I mean, you're getting a good price, but it's just so hard to play. Out of position. Ooh.
Wow, and it comes queen jack 5 with 2 diamonds. Jahjaga flops the royal flush draw. Farhat in the lead with the jacks.
Krahula with only 4%. He's got 110, but if somehow Farhat folds the jack, he would shoot up.
Jahjaga 4 to the royal.
I imagine you're going to see a bet from Jahjaga here.
And that bet is for absolutely all of it.
Yeah,
that's 8.8 into about 2.4.
With Krahula checking, you know, he likely knows he's got him beat. Farhat defending in the big blind, checking also. It's unlikely he has a queen. It's hard for him to call with worse. Might fold out some 5s. Middle pairs. As we see, Farhat's considering calling with his jack. It's a hefty raise, and if you're wrong with that jack, you're going to need help. If you're up against a queen, you're going to, you don't have many outs. If you're up against a jack, you're almost dead.
And best case, quote unquote, would be diamonds when you'd be about a flip.
And as we see, he's mathematically he's the underdog here, even though he currently has the best hand. So, real tough spot here. It's why you don't really want to defend with these type hands, because even when you flop something, they're just so hard to play. To play it well, you have to really nail it, like trips, 2 pair. It's just so hard.
10 of diamond. No? No sure? No. Ace queen, ace queen, ace queen. Ace queen?
Yeah, okay.
It's a fairly large bet, you know, in relation to the pot. I think he just didn't really understand, didn't want to have to try to play the hand if he does brick. You know, if he makes a standard bet and gets called and the turn is like the 6 of hearts, he didn't want to have to figure it out. He wanted to realize all his equity, just put his chips in and see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, Ricci is spot on, said that was the ace-10 of diamonds, and indeed it was.
I guess these players will find out eventually once they catch up to the delay. Again, you know, I see some critique that he shoved. Remember, most of these players don't have the experience in a lot of the deep stack, huge, large-scale tournaments. You know, I don't mind the shove. It's not what I would have done there, but hey, you know, it's hard to get outplayed when all your chips are in the middle.
That's true. And we believe this is Jahjaga's first ever live tournament cash.
Yeah, he's the only one on here that doesn't have any amounts of winnings. But we've got aces for Ricci here on the button.
He's going to like to look down at this.
I mean, what a spot. When you've been playing a lot of hands relative to the table and you're on the button, you know the players think you're active, and you pick up 2 aces. It's going to raise to 600,000, his standard raise. Farhat, suited king in the small blind against an active player on the button. We saw he liked the jack deuce for a little more. Granted, he was getting a better price with the 3rd player in the pot, but he's in there with the suited king. Ntamaris getting 6 to 1 on his call.
Into the muck.
It's better than the jack deuce, and he throws that one away. Farhat does not want to flop a king here.
10, 9, 6, 2 spades.
He's got a flush draw. He's likely going to make a big check raise here, I think.
We're on a collision course, and Ricci, the snap check back, 7 of diamonds on the turn.
That's a scary card because your opponent here calling, you know, he likely has some 8s in his range, or some of those, you know, 8, 9, 10, 9s. He could have 2 pair, he could have straights very easily. I think if we see a bet from Farhat, it's really hard to raise. By checking, he disguised his hand, so he likely just calls in position and sees what the river is.
And he'll lead here. Small, 650K, about 1/3.
As we see, he's actually a big favorite here, but
Ricci calls quickly.
By checking back his aces on the flop, he gives his opponent room to make mistakes, but he also limits his upside. It's going to be really hard. Like, he can't raise this river here. He can't. He's not in control. He's strictly got to call if his opponent bets. Now, his opponent opted to check. He missed his draws and checked.
Farhat waving the white flag.
Or not. It does open the door for allow him to make a bluff raise.
That would be pretty sick.
He might feel by betting it's really easy to get called and picked off. By check raising, he can make a lot larger bet, really put his opponent to a test. If he were to raise here, it'd be pretty tough for Ricci. I mean, he's got aces, but what again, is your opponent ever check raise bluffing you here?
You do have the ace of spades. And is he going for it?
I think we're going to see, or is he just faking?
Yeah, might.
What are the chip denominations? Do we know?
I think the pink chips are 100Ks.
Okay, and the blues. So if the blues are 500s, that looks like about.
I think the blues are. I think the blues would be 25s.
Oh, okay. So maybe he's just faking a call to get a tell from his opponent.
That's what it's looking like right now. Yes.
Problem with this is you can't call here, obviously, with king high because it's very unlikely your opponent has like a queen high type hand. So this could just be putting your opponent through a meat grinder. Ooh.
He did call with king deuce.
It's a really interesting call because, like I say, it's very hard with the board of 6, 7, 9, 10. The hands you beat that are bluffing, like it's unlikely your opponent has like 5 high.
Yeah.
And he's going to pair all those middle cards. He specifically has to have like queen jack or queen. No, queen 10 doesn't do it. He literally only beats queen jack, I believe.
It's just queen jack, yes. New look at the leaderboard, and we have a new chip leader. Farhat falls down to 4th. Matthew Calzoni, followed closely by fellow countryman Andrea Ricci.
Wow, what a call. I'm still confused.
And you have spades, so you block the missed flush draws.
But, I mean, again, even you with king high on the board of 10, 9, any card has a pair. Oh, the only unpaired hands you beat are the baby cards, like 5, 3, 5. But he's unlikely raising that hand and calling you on the turn, or specifically queen jack, right? I guess queen little, but it would have to be like queen 5, queen 4, queen 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone points out maybe the card reader had a mistake, but he still played it like he had a king high flush draw.
And I think nowadays with our RFID readers, if there was a mistake, it just wouldn't read the card. It wouldn't read it as a completely different card.
Maybe he was doing one of those things hoping that by calling his opponent would muck.
Oh, yeah.
You know, muck better. I've seen that before.
Nice call.
I've seen that before.
200K, 400K blinds now. Jeff Platt alongside David Williams, final table of the Colossus at World Series of Poker Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get an interview and ask about that hand, but I don't want to seem like if they were, to ask that guy to rub salt in the wound.
Of course.
Very
And that's we're just curious. We're
as
just
to the thought
curious
process
about it.
there. But anyways, he's right back at it. He picks up king jack on the button.
So let's go to work. Penev with the king 5 of diamonds in the big blind. Haven't heard yet from Zlatin Penev at this final table. Cool hoodie, though.
Yeah. He's our youngest player, 23 years old.
Out of Bulgaria. He'll defend.
Yeah, I think it's, suited king and the big blind, men raise against the button. Totally acceptable here. He doesn't know he's dominated.
10-8, 6-1 diamond. Farhat still best. A couple backdoor draws for both.
I'm wondering if Farhat, back to that hand, if he really thought it through, what hands does he beat? How unlikely it is on a board like that. Your opponent is unpaired and queen high. He's going to follow through with a C bet here.
And let's also credit Ricci there for getting some value with the aces. Well, not the most beautiful board for that hand. Farhat will fire 700,000.
If he only knows what he got called by.
Yeah, right.
He's going to lay it down.
Fold a little handcuffed with his stack. Yeah, just 11 or 12 bigs. Hard to get too creative.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of hands. He's just if he connected, flush draw, straight draw, pair, he was
sure.
He was
Then
going
maybe
with it.
we go with it. And then super deep stack could even choose to continue, but just 10 to 12 bigs with a couple short stacks lingering at this table.
Our chip leader staying out of the mix.
Yeah.
Just being patient.
Like you've mentioned, Ricci has been the most active by far. Calzoni's been a bit card dead as well. Did see that 1-3 bet with the king-queen off.
Yes, I guess I should say our chip leader start the day. I think he was, right? Or no? Because now Ricci's our chip leader after that hand, I believe.
It was very close at the top. Ricci, Calzoni still has a slight chip lead. Farhat has fallen just a bit. He's got the ace-deuce in the cutoff.
It's funny. It seems like any time you have a misstep or something goes wrong and you may want a breather, the deck just keeps giving you these marginal spots to kind of like throw you back in action. He picks up the king-jack. Now he picks up ace-deuce. It's like, sometimes you just like, look, I just lost, poker gods. Just let me get like a 7-high and muck and stay out of trouble. Because now the opponents see blood in the water. They're going to come after you. You wonder. That gets in your head. Like, are they coming after me? Do they have a hand? You start to overthink it. But he gets it through.
Nice little rally.
2 in a row after the king high. Winning a few pots always makes everything better.
Farhat tells us he loves to play at King's Resort in Rosvedov. Loves to play tournaments. Hasn't had this kind of success yet before.
It'd be awesome to play there if only we didn't have to travel there.
Right.
If you could just hop in like a teleporter and be there and teleport back.
That would be fantastic.
The travel's just so brutal.
King 8 of clubs for Jahjaga.
Under the gun. Likely we're going to see him fold this. He's been fairly snug. I like it. I like playing tight and patient at these final tables and let people implode around you. Because even though you fall sort of behind in the chip counts by not being active, as people get eliminated, you make money. But when the blinds go up, it's very easy to get right back in there. All it takes is you just win one nice pot and boom. So there's a lot to be said about staying out of trouble. And here we go.
Farhat back to work.
4 in a row.
The ace-8 of hearts and the hijack bumps it up to 800K. Average stack a little less than 20 bigs.
Calzoni
None of our players have 40. Raise and take it again for Farhat. He's won the last 3 hands. Back into our chip lead.
Yeah, he's won back everything he lost from the king deuce hand. And some. Zig when they're zagging. Everybody's playing snug, and so you get after it.
Pounced. Opportunities certainly there for chip leaders at final tables to apply some pressure with those pay jumps that David mentioned.
I mean, it's 40-minute levels too. And some of these players are like, I want to go for the win. I'm going to ramp up the aggression, put the pressure on these stacks. A lot of patience looking at their cards. A lot of patience.
Oh, and Reggi's going to go with it here with the 8-6 off instead of waiting for the big blinds.
So the blinds did go up, and he doesn't, when you put in that ante, that part can't be doubled, right? That part is just in the center from yourself. So I think he's looking at, well, I've got 4 big blinds, not even. So, yeah, once he puts the ante in, he's going to be down to 2.5 bigs. He'd rather just go here and put them to the test. Penev in the cutoff. The problem here is if you're in the big blind, you can call here easily with with Queen Jack. But with only 4.3 million and you still have people behind you left to act, you think you've got to give it up. And I think the same can be said here about A6. But I was going to say, he's taking a pause on it. Calzoni folds the king deuce.
Wow, Jahjaga folds also, so it just gets through the shove for 3 bigs does.
He's got to feel great about that.
Absolutely. And with Jahjaga in the big blind, who is inexperienced, was probably folding
way more than he
too
should.
Often.
I don't know if he knows his opponent's experience, but from what he's seen also.
Might have picked up on it last couple days.
And Jahjaga's been I don't think we've seen him play one hand, so it's like you've also got an opponent who's probably tighter than most. And now he's got a little bit of breathing room. He can pay his blinds with what he picked up and be right back where he was in 2 hands. But that's okay, because now you're surviving. You bought another round. I don't know if the English-only rule applies here.
Yeah, no, I don't think
he's
so.
Speaking Italian. There are 3 Italians at the table left, but the other players don't know what he's saying, so probably shouldn't do that once cards are out. But he hadn't touched his cards yet. Right. And I'm sure there's translators that could say if something was being said. Farhat, back at it. He took a little break, picks up a couple deuces, under the gun +1. Zlatan still has not played a hand yet. I guess he defended with the king 5.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
Looks at least intrigued here, and we can see why. He's peeled 2 sevens.
I imagine this is going to go all in. I mean,
for 11 bigs.
One of the shorter stacks got 11 bigs. Your opponent's been pretty active, you know. What did he play, like 5 hands out of 6? Wow.
He's down the 7s.
He's just really trying to outlast Reggi.
And Krahula looks down at 2 jacks in the cutoff.
What a fold. I think that even though we see that he was beat, I still think the fold is a mistake.
I agree.
I know what he's thinking. We've got Reggi with only 4 big blinds, and he really wants to ladder up. And, I mean, there's almost a 5K euro pay jump. He's going to be thrilled to find out that he dodged the jacks. Jack deuce 7 flop.
Only a matter of time.
3-bet here. 2.5 million. Calzoni with a suited king on the button. Can't really get involved once it goes raise under the gun +1 and a 3-bet. The 7s has to feel good about that.
Absolutely.
When you see a 3-bet behind you.
1-1 behind. 1-1 behind.
That's another reason he only had 3.6 million, so there's another shorter stack lower to 7. So there was 2 stacks shorter than him with the 7s.
Deuces into the muck.
I still think 7s is too strong of a hand in this spot. Again, though, with 2 stacks shorter than you and the blinds being what they are, it's purely like ICM considerations here.
Absolutely.
You know? I mean, if he's able to outlast them both, he jumps up to almost 30,000 euros, which is a lot of money. I almost feel like the added seat to all the payouts would kind of make me a little looser. Like I'd feel like, you know what?
You already
I
got
got
a 10K
nice
seat.
10K free roll. You know what? I'm getting in the mix because I'm going to the main event. I'd love to see one of these guys back at the main event final table.
That'd be great. We will be covering that main event final table, currently scheduled for December 8th. You can catch that stream right here on the WSOP YouTube channel.
It's so interesting to see. I mean, obviously the stack sizes are dictating most of it, but the vast difference in styles. You know, some of these players have been very willing to get involved, and most of them have just been very willing to fold.
Queen Jack for Ntamaris.
He's got 2.5 million, so he's got 6 big blinds.
Says let's put a decent amount in there.
He put in $1,050,000. Everyone knows there's no way he's going to fold after putting that much in.
How much do you have?
I'm going to guess Penev has 2 9s here, maybe ace-9 suited, but I'm guessing.
Penev's out of the way.
Krahula's
out of the way. Here's Calzoni with the ace-8 suited.
Sorry, I was looking at the graphic and didn't look at the face. Ace-8 suited in the cutoff. Again, this is like I mentioned earlier. If you were the big blind, the last guy to close out the action, it's a lot easier to play here, but you've got to worry about the dealer, small and big blind. You still got 3 players that could potentially have something, so you do have to be aware of that. I think in addition to the players behind you, Ntamaris hasn't played a hand. A player like that in this situation who still had a little bit of time because he did have about 6 big blinds, he's likely going to have ace-8 in a bad spot. We see he doesn't, but I think his range of hands, his range usually should crush ace-8 for him to be opening here. I think he's going to lay it down. He puts the chips back, and he reluctantly folds. I've been in that spot. You're like, I wish I was the big blind.
Ooh, and Jahjaga wakes up with ace-king on the button. He's starting the hand with about 25, 26 bigs.
And he seems to be one of our least experienced players. So with a hand like ace-king, I think we might even see just an all-in from him. I wouldn't be surprised. It's another one of those hands that I find that amateur players find hard to play when you miss. So one of the easiest ways to mitigate that is just put all the chips in, and you can just see all 5 cards. Ideally, you'd like to see a normal 3-bet, maybe give some rope for the small and big blind to make a mistake. You have a very powerful hand. But again, like I say, it's really hard for people to play.
And he will make it 3 million.
3 million. You love to see it.
Reggie out of the way, Ricci the 6 deuce of clubs into the muck, and here we go. And Ntamaris is going to be all in and at risk with the queen jack against the ace king of Edmond Jahjaga.
Going to be relieved to see he's got 2 live cards. He's got 2 live cards.
See Reggie in the background sweating another pay jump. Started this final table with 3 bigs. Might be making another 5K here.
Yeah, I think if Ntamaris just got a little impatient. Obviously, we haven't seen the results, but you've got stacks shorter than you, and I do understand he was under the gun +1. You are about to pay the blinds, but not sure with 8 left. Do I, if I like that move with the queen jack offsuit? Too often when you get called, you're going to be just in a bad spot.
King in the window. King jack 7. Jahjaga's the backdoor spade, so Jahjaga leads with the kings. Ntamaris does have the backdoor straight job, but for now looking for a queen or a jack.
Winner of this pot will shoot up. Well, not the winner. If Jahjaga wins this pot, he'll shoot up the leaderboard near the top. 13
Turn card. It's another 7, and that is a terrible card if you're Ntamaris.
Queen no longer does it. Queens and jacks would not beat kings and 7s. Down to 2 outs.
Needs to find one of 2 remaining jacks to stay alive, or his day is done.
He didn't stand up and put the jacket on.
That's right.
That jacket needs to be on, buddy. That's the only way to get that
his DAs. And that will do it for Fotios Ntamaris out of Greece.
Still a great job. 8th place, 17,000 euros plus the 10,000 euro seat in the main event.
Not a bad effort, and then there were 7.
It's from Greece, 29 years old. Total live earnings was $21,000. Never cashed in a tournament above $550. This is his biggest score. He's got to be feeling good, even though he's upset probably about being out, maybe questioning his decision with the queen jack, but he's still got to feel good about his accomplishment, beating 2,400 other players.
In the meantime, Edmond Jahjaga is our new chip leader.
It's from Kosovo. I wonder what language they speak there. A lot of Europeans are multilingual anyways, but he's definitely conversing with some of the players. Misha de Graaf, what flag is it? He's from Kosovo.
Down to 7, and our final 7 are guaranteed 22,302 euros. About a 7K pay jump from 7th to 6th. Up top in this one, 147,775 euros, and the main event seat, and that World Series of Poker gold bracelet. Ace King again for Jahjaga.
He's our oldest player at the table, 43 years old. Me, myself, being close to that, I like to see. Let's do one for the old guys. Show these young kids we still got it.
Ma la fai finita, mi fate ridere, Oh, ragazzi, che devo fare? Mi gioco le orine con i soldi degli altri.
Ricci with the Jack-6 suited in the small blind.
I like this guy. He just likes to play poker.
That's true.
He just likes
Yeah.
hands. He's
Folding
just,
hurts.
He's like, I like hands,
for
man.
Ricci.
Flops are
And
fun.
he's going to play.
Oh.
Oh, maybe not.
Thought he might have been
Pump
cutting
fake.
out a 3-bet. I really got to get what these chip denominations are. I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
I think blues are 25Ks.
Yeah, because the
that makes
stack,
sense.
the
Yeah,
stack
and
was
then the pink-ish are 100Ks. And he does 3-bet here. Timing a little off on this one as he makes it $3 million with the Jack-6 of spades out of the small blind.
It's funny what this does. Farhat would likely have gotten in there for 400K more with 8-9 suited, as he should. Perfectly good hand. Once you get a 3-bet from the small blind and you still have the razors to left to act, it's going to be painful, but you've got to fold the 9 high, the 9-8 suited. And then unfortunately for Ricci, he ran into the buzzsaw. Bad timing. So the pinks are 500K.
Yeah, the pinks are 500K. Those black chips, a slight difference for us on screen, are 100Ks.
The brownish black, yeah, those are hundreds. Okay, thank you. The chat helped me out.
I think 7 million.
7 million. I am all in.
Yep, there we go.
Ricci, here's the bad news. A hint of Hollywooding here.
Yeah.
Before the Jack-6 enters the muck.
I like it. You know, hey, I'm really debating here what to do with my ace queen or my 2 tens. You know,
I would only 3-bet you at the goods.
Yeah. I mean, I understand when people do this. And listen, I get it, but it's almost, I mean, I guess if you're going to keep getting out of line, then you want your opponents to think you aren't getting out of line.
Sure.
But I personally like my opponents to think I'm getting out of line here, because then I just change it up on them. I make sure I have the goods next time, and maybe they'll think back. Yeah, he's definitely not calling here. I see the chat saying if he calls here. This is pure Hollywood. This is, I want my opponent to believe I've got a decision. I 3-bet him with a really strong hand, and oof, here goes the muck. Not yet. I mean, this is getting out of hand. Especially because it is being streamed and the players, it's not, obviously to them it's not live. He can't go look right now, but he will see shortly, maybe at a break, maybe it's at some point, okay, look, buddy, you had the jack high.
Yeah, like, let's just keep it moving. There are only 40-minute levels in this one.
Yeah, that's the
Get
part.
on to the next hand.
That's the part when I'm at the table that really bothers me, is that the levels are so short. When other players aren't respectful of that time, it really gets me going. I'm like, come on, guys.
Pre-flop decisions usually are a bit easier as well. Even if he did have a tough spot, which we see he does not. It's about time to fling the cards into the muck. And there they go.
Especially because you took time when you decided to 3-bet, and a lot of the times you can make that decision at the same time. You can say, I'm 3-betting here, I'm 3-bet folding here. Like if I get 4-bet, I'm folding, and make that decision when you 3-bet. And it doesn't mean your hand was garbage. It just means you'd already made up your mind. Like a lot of the times I think 2 decision trees down. Like if I get 3-bet, I'm going to fold. If somebody re-raises, I'm going to go all in. I already have that decided.
Right. Which you should always do, right? That's good advice for poker players who are fairly new to tournaments.
At least
kind of set up that tree.
Be close. Now, you may want to get extra information. You might look at your opponent and study them and, you know, use some white magic and come up with something else. But in general, yeah, it's good to have a plan when you make your move. Now, he had a plan. He was folding, but he just took it too far. Seven-6 suited for Calzoni. I like his game. He's been playing, you know, in the spots where you would see a lot of players want to play. He's done the right thing.
Hasn't forced it.
I'm impressed so far by his folding, as I've seen. Back in Texas when I grew up playing, one of the guys had a saying. He said, these hands are like grapes. They come in bunches. And as you see, Jahjaga, that's 3 in a row for him. But now it's Ricci's turn with the ace-king.
Good timing for Ricci, too. Coming off that fold after 3-betting. About 20 bigs to start the hand.
He can 3-bet again. He's on the button here. And when you're on the button and you've been super active, you have to play your big hands to the max. Like, you have to make sure you get value in them. You can't, there's no time to get tricky and start just calling, which I don't think we're going to see that. He's been 3-betting with worse hands, so when you 3-bet with the bad ones, you got to 3-bet with the good ones too.
Going to go with the non-all-in 3-bet route.
3.2 million.
It's still a sizable 3-bet.
Yeah, a lot of the times you see players like at the larger buy-in tournaments 3-bet a little smaller, especially in position.
And especially when starting the hand with just 20 bigs.
You'd see 3-bets to something like 2.1, 2.2. Because in addition to risking less, you also give your opponent room to make a mistake. You make it easier for them to call with a worse hand and end up, in a bad spot. By raising so large, you kind of really limit the hands that interact with you.
2.2. 3 million.
2 4s and you get 3-bet. Normally, it's really it's kind of situation where if you're not super deep, you don't have a lot of room to wiggle and play, which they won't. If he were to call here, the stack to pot ratio is less in the pot, less. So he's gonna likely not really have a lot of room to play. So I think you've either got to give it up or just be prepared to go all in with it. Based on what we've seen from him, I think he is going to give it up here.
Yeah.
It's just not really that strong of a hand.
Does let it go. Ricci picks it up. Andrea Ricci, almost 860K in career live tournament earnings. Won a WSOP circuit main event at this very casino in September.
Yeah, he is the, based on earnings, the most successful player here, in tournament poker.
Cool.
Who knows, maybe one of these guys is a cash game titan.
Sure. And it could be him. He's told us. It could be Jahjaga. He's told us he likes to play cash.
There's my pick, my dark horse, Calzoni.
Calzoni.
Just seems focused.
Very measured.
Doesn't waste a lot of time. Seems thoughtful at the same time without wasting it. I have been enjoying the poker, though, so far. I like that there's some players here willing to mix it up and get involved, not a bunch of just folding.
And we might have jinxed that one. This might be our first walk of the day.
That's okay.
And it is.
At least it was quick. I think Krahula might have had the best hand of all the the table so far. GG Bro 94. What casino? We are at the King's Casino and Razvadov, Czech Republic.
And there you see our final 7. Jahjaga, the chip leader. Reggie has been the short stack the entire time. Has laddered up 2 spots so far. Final 7 guaranteed 22K.
3 big blinds for Reggie. Oh, high pitch on those cards. I think I might have saw one. One might have flashed. We might see a move from Reggie this hand or next. You see, he likes to get it in before the blinds. He's only got 3. Once you put the ante in, he has got 2. So he's really got to make a decision here. He's choosing to go with the next one, likely. Big blind ante, instead of a slow bleed, it just comes in chunks.
It hits you hard.
Yeah. Penev folds. Might see another walk here.
Krahula with the 10-8 in the small blind.
Yeah, his stack is just too small to do anything. I like personally to limp a lot of hands in the small when I get to that position, even my strong ones and my weaker ones, to try to mix it up and really, you're out of position, so raising is difficult there anyways. If you do it with your strong and your weak hand, sometimes you get 3-bet, you get raised and you get to 3-bet your opponent and pick up those extra chips. But with only 5.4 million, not a lot he can do.
It's the final table of the Colossus at World Series of Poker Europe. Edmond Jahjaga is our chip leader. Jeff Platt alongside David Williams in the broadcast booth. If you're checking us out on the WSOP's YouTube page, A, thank you. B, let us know where you are watching us from. We know we have an international audience for our World Series of Poker Europe coverage. Greatly appreciate it. So let us know where you are tuning in from as we take a look at this leaderboard at the payouts. Our final 7 guarantee 22,300 euros. About a 7K pay jump from 7th to 6th. Up top in this one, more than 147,000 euros. And that World Series of Poker gold bracelet and a seat in the main. The UK, Florida, Australia, Moscow, New York, Arkansas, Netherlands, France, Ireland. David, they keep rolling in from all over the world.
All over. Worldwide audience on YouTube here.
Iowa, Russia, Austin, Texas, Florida, France, London, South Carolina, South Africa. Where'd they get that picture of me? It's from like 19 years ago, it seems.
Yeah, I guess, my picture.
Yours looks great as always.
I think that was probably this summer. Or this fall at the World Series.
There were a lot of opportunities to take pictures of you deep in World Series of Poker events.
You went pretty deep, though. I would trade my baby deeps for your big deep.
I played less than one big deep. A little fortunate.
I was pulling for you, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Super exciting to follow. Show these guys you do more than just commentate.
That's right. I listen to you and all the other analysts I get to work for. Reggie's going to go with it here with the Jack Deuce of Spades for 3 bigs. Ace 9 of diamonds is what Ricci will squeeze.
They're down to 7-handed, so there's less opponents here to worry about after you, and we know Ricci likes to play.
Penev.
Oh, Penev's going to go all in here. He he did fold the 7s, but he is, I think, second to last, and the person who he's kind of trying to outlast is already all in the pot.
Right.
So it's the kind of situation where you'd have to finish worse than that player to not get the paid jump. But I think Ace-Queen is just too strong of a hand. But I thought the same thing 7s, and he folded those.
That's true. And you could be in such a dominant position as he is right now against Ricci's Ace-9. Easier for us to say. But there are so many hands like this that probably do just flat.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be concerned about that, but I think his hand is so strong, especially considering how short his stack is, that he really shouldn't have any option here other than to get it all in.
And there it goes. All in. And Reggie flipping out over there.
Uh-oh, he's like, I got called. And
he's like, I'm probably not good.
I've got Jack high. I've got a deuce in my hand. That's got to feel, well, at least
he's going to be thrilled to see these cards, all things considered.
His deuce is likely live. Ooh, there's a queen, 1 queen down. There's 1 deuce.
And now Ricci is kind of stuck. So it's just 2 million more to him with 5 million already out there.
I see Jay Seaton said plays for days to get it in with Jack Deuce of Spades. But the thing is, with only 3 big blinds, he's next up in the blinds. He has to put 1/3 of his stack in for the ante. That leaves him with 2 big blinds. I don't mind it. And if you look, he's 33% here. He's got great chance to triple up.
Ricci flings in the call, and here we go. A 3-way all-in. Reggie all in and at risk with the Jack Deuce of Spades. Penev all in and at risk with the Ace-Queen. Ricci could score the double KO if his Ace-9 of diamonds finds a way. And that would catapult him into at least close to the chip lead.
Reggie's got to feel good, though, that no one has a pair or ace-jack. He had to be worried when he goes flat call all in. So.
Come?
Jack e 2 dico.
Pure
colore.
Sì, poi l'ha fatti C. L'ha fatto anche ieri. Vabbè, io resto con 20, quasi 20.
2 della mia 2, amore.
O fuori dopo perché
Che Calli. Io forse avrei passato sto spazio. Io avrei passato.
Reggie with quite the rail.
Puoi passare.
What an exciting moment for these players.
Yeah.
WSOP final table.
For many of them, their biggest career opportunity.
Ma la vinco quest'anno. La vinco. La vinco.
Posso passare preso. Da qui.
This is the part that also, they don't pause the clock for this. So come on, guys, let's get a flop out there. You're going to come back and the level's going to be changed. Here we go.
Reggie all in, Penev all in. Ricci looking to bust both.
Sì, beh, chiaro.
7 in the window, queen, 7-5 with 2 hearts. The dream flop for Penev, who takes a commanding lead.
His opponents have 3% combined. A lot of cards, a lot of times they're just dead on the turn here. And
that is one of those times. Penev almost the triple up. Reggie had a little less.
what a flop. He's got to feel good about that. 4 hearts on the board. Makes the nut
Does make
flush.
that ace-high flush. Penev up to about 9 million in chips. And that will do it for Aurelio Reggi, eliminated in 7th place, 22,302 euros, and of course that seat in the World Series of Poker Europe main event.
And that hand right there illustrated the danger of calling the all-in with a hand like ace-9 when there's still a lot of players behind you to act. It's fairly early. You really want to try to close out the action when you make a call with that type of hand for someone all-in short, because that happens a lot. Someone behind you wakes up with a hand, but you're kind of committed, and now you've just spewed off valuable chips that you really could use at this juncture of the tournament. And there we have it. We lose another Italian.
That brings us down to 6. Those 6 guaranteed 29,000 euros. Krahula now the short stack. Jahjaga still in our chip lead. Farhat in 2nd, Calzoni 3rd, Penev 4th, Ricci 5th.
Wait.
Wait.
Grande?
I think 8 million.
Sorry?
I think 8 million.
So Jay Seaton has a good question. Why not wait till the next hand and play it blind? Because this way, if you do double up, you double your entire stack. Whereas the next hand, you have to put in 1/3 of your stack as the big blind. That doesn't get doubled. So let's say he had 3 big blinds. If he doubles, he would win 6 plus the blinds. Where if he's in the big blind, he's only going to win what is called, but not someone else's big blind and not the ante.
$200K, $400K blinds for another minute or so. Queen 9 on the button for Calzoni.
Fairly standard spot here, just raise. Likely better than the hand your opponents in the blind will find or be able to call with. Jahjaga has also been fairly snug. 7-8 kind of hand. If you were maybe deeper, maybe a cash game, you might want to consider playing. But I think here in a tournament, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
it's more posturing by these players. Based on some of the hands he's laid down, I don't think there's any way he's going to get in there with this hand.
Looks like he's going to get in there with this hand.
I guess I was wrong.
And Ricci, what a spot to look down at 2 jacks. About 15 bigs behind.
Yeah, I mean, almost certainly we're going to see a raise here, a 3-bet, which should just take it. I'd like to see a raise to something like 3 million, 2.5. You know Calzoni's range of hands he's raising on the button is fairly wide.
I'm going to go all of it.
Go all in for 6. We've only got, what, 15 big blinds, that is. Also very easy to do. I think you could raise a little smaller to hope your opponent might make a mistake. It's a lot more difficult for them to do that when it's all the chips. But again, maybe he just doesn't want to take that risk and end up having to play against a hand like King-Queen or
This
something
showcases a little bit of the problem with playing a hand like 7-8 off in the small blind, right? You're going to face that
Yeah, you're
quite
going to get
frequently.
squeezed a lot. You
Yeah.
actually incentivize the
Right.
big blind to squeeze a lot. So
5?
closing out the action, I've mentioned it before. If he was the
If you're in
big blind,
yeah, totally
it's
different.
totally
story.
different. But you still got one player left to act.
Let's raise those blinds. 250K, 500K with a 500K big blind ante.
So there's about 61 million chips in play, which means, what is that, 120 big blinds total for 6 players.
Yikes.
20 big blind average stack. Some room to work with here.
But this will be an action-packed level, to say the least, you would think. Krahula now with less than 11 bigs.
Carlo Rossi says it's terrible to suggest raising at 3 million, but the reason I'm saying 3 million is everyone knows you're effectively all in. You're just giving your opponent some rope to make a mistake. When you're playing with players who aren't as skilled as Ricci is compared to these players, you do want to give them an opportunity to make mistakes.
Six-three off for Ricci in the small blind. He'll limp in. Farhat, the king 6. Ace 10 rainbow.
400.
Ricci snap leads.
Minimum 5.
I thought he was saying raise to 5. I see what he said, 5 million, but he was saying nope, you can't bet 4, you've got to bet 5. King high, likely the best hand. It's unlikely your opponent limped an ace here, so it's, you know, and you know Ricci's been kind of tricky. Those type of players, their range of hands is likely so wide. King high, you definitely have to call for one big blind.
Ricci gonna keep coming for it.
1.2.
Bets 1.2 million.
Mr. Ricci.
He's really just trying to represent that he has a jack or a 10. If you're going to make that flop bet, you've got to be willing to pull a second, second barrel, fire a second barrel.
To your point, he's not limping many aces pre.
Sorry?
He could, but it's not likely.
Right.
A lot of players, especially with his stack size, would just raise all in.
Just your really good aces might limp, but then would you go bet? Could.
Okay.
1/5 of his stack here.
6-1.
He's trying to process, if I do make this call here, am I going to have to do it again on the river?
And he does lay it down.
Good bet.
Ricci gets it done with the 6-3.
Props to Ricci for firing a second bullet. A lot of players fire that first bullet and then just give up after that. You got to make it tough.
You can later you check the camera. Maybe left, maybe no.
I think yes. I have king high.
Tells him he had king high.
And that king high was good.
Yeah, I don't like that. You make your opponent feel good if they were bluffing you.
Right,
You know they got you.
Dino, t'as kiffé mon coloteur roi? Mon call mec?
World Series of Poker Europe presented by Club GG.
Ah, d'accord. J'ai call mec.
Which you can download now. Even if you're in the US of A.
These guys really aren't doing themselves any favor, though, with the blinds. Some of the time they're taking
all the
these blinds,
tanking, yeah.
these blinds are going up.
Again, 40-minute levels throughout the duration of this tournament. 2,478 entries across 4 starting flights to create a prize pool of almost 1.2 million euros.
A lot of players, when they're short, feel like it's bad for them when the blinds go up, but I feel like it's worse for the larger stacks
Yeah.
because it lowers the gap between
Lessens
the
their
number of big
advantage.
blinds. Yeah, the short stack, once the blinds get higher, can just double up, and all of a sudden they're the chip leader now. So it's actually worse for the big stacks.
Sei ganci, c'ho 15 X, devo fare.
Oh, speak English, please.
Yeah, he asked me what I jammed before. I told him pocket jack.
Speak French if you want to speak French.
I had pocket jack before.
Ouais.
Here comes the rail.
Oh. C'est des fous, les
Good rails, good for the game. Kings, good for Jahjaga.
He's had some big
He
hands
really
today.
has.
And he
Ace
is our
king a
chip
couple
leader.
times.
That's why he's our chip leader.
Yeah, king's here.
Ooh.
Penev. Going to be in a tricky spot here with 18 bigs and king queen in the small blind.
Six-handed, you know, king queen against a single raise.
There's
in
no
the small
super
blind.
short stack left. Krahula is at about 10 bigs.
We did see him fold the sevens earlier for
Yeah.
just a single raise. Now, granted, that was a little bit different situation, but he. Oh,
And he goes
chooses
for it
to
here,
go
and he's
all
going to
in.
run right into it. Right smack dab into the kings of Edmond Jahjaga, who needs to call now or should get a penalty for slow rolling.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, God, this is, come on, man, put the chips in. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, fairly large raise. I mean, he could have made it something like 3.1, you know, 2.5, and maybe gotten away from it.
You heard the word slow roll mentioned. A bit of a slower. Again, Jahjaga, not an experienced tournament player.
I think you.
But that just stings a little bit more for Penev, who finds himself all in and at risk and in some major trouble.
God, that's just the hand you don't want to see. Two kings. It's like, oh my.
And the second he tanks, you're like, all right, well, at least it's not kings or aces.
Look at that. He's got a, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
it's
he's real not thrilled.
Passo 9 dici? Non posso passare. No, vabbè, ma se Callo prefi.
C'est le rétal, il est par le. Pas le Kosovar.
Can't blame Penev here,
Ormai lo prefi.
but he's going to need some help to find the double, which would catapult him into the chip lead.
Yeah, I mean, usually when I have under 20 bigs, I'm looking for a good spot.
Yeah.
3-bet shove. It's just unfortunate to run into kings.
Against someone who's been pretty active. We've seen the cards. We've seen that he's had it. Any hope? 8 deuce 3 with 2 clubs.
Backdoor.
Does have the backdoor clubs.
I mean, you're playing six-handed. You got to get in there. A lot of the times you're going to get it through. Your opponents are going to fold.
Club for the sweat on the turn. I think we're all fine with that. It's the 4 spades. And that
he-
does it for Zlatin Penev. Eliminated in 6th place. He'll take home 29,008 euros.
TRGR. The rich get richer.
Ma diciamo in 5 o in 4 adesso?
6, 5 adesso 5.
As Glackle's in the chat said, slow roll justice one time. No, we didn't find it. Penev out in 6th.
He's going to pick up 29,000 euros plus a $10,000 seat to the main event. Doesn't feel so good right now, especially getting it in so dominated. But, you know, six-handed, king, queen, 18 bigs. 3-bet shove there is totally
fine.
acceptable, if not the right play. Probably, you know, don't think there's really anything else you can do with it. You
And
could
look at
say
this.
he could try to outlast someone else who's
Yeah.
shorter, but
And if Krahula had like 2 big blinds or 3, a different story. But with 10, 11,
and he's trying to win the tournament. You got to
Yeah,
give yourself
yeah.
the best chance to win the tournament here.
Jahjaga now with more than 40% of the chips in play in his first ever recorded live tournament cash. He's
Hey.
the chip leader.
Keep picking up top 1% hands.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty easy.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Thank you, my friend.
And when you have king queen, it's fairly hard for your opponent to have kings and queens.
Yeah.
Like those aren't likely hands that you're going to be up against. Is Jahjaga finally opening it up? No, he's not. There's no reason to open it up when you
Right,
get ace king every other hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Now
And the
reaching
king
with
3 off is a little
queen
low on
jack
the
and
totem
cut
pole.
off 5-handed. We're going to see a raise for sure. 1 million. $10-6 suited. He loves the suited cards, but not today.
Folds around to Calzoni in the big blind. The 8-7 off. He'll defend.
Yeah,
Similar stack sizes here.
One big blind closing the action.
Comes ace-9-4 with 2 hearts, a couple backdoor draws for Ricci's. Queen high is also best. And on the ace-high flop, perhaps pretty easy to bet here.
He's going to check it back. Oh, excuse me, he was first. He checks. Yeah, Ricci's going to see a bet here. One big blind.
Can just bet small and win a lot of the time.
Don't need to bet much.
Right.
Your opponent doesn't connect. They likely just give it up because they don't want to draw dead.
Every pot's so important at this juncture in the tournament. Our final 5 guaranteed 38,000 euros.
Krahula with 8 big blinds, but after that, the other 3 are fairly close,
Yeah.
all about 20. And then Jahjaga kind of running away with it with 51 bigs.
Perhaps a bit of a waiting game between those 20 big blind-ish stacks. Although we've seen Ricci doesn't like to do much waiting.
Farhat likes to mix it up, too.
Yeah.
We had a string, played 5 out of 6 hands at one point. Ricci with 5s, right back at it.
Yep.
They, like grapes, come in bunches.
Farhat with the pretty 10-9 of clubs. And the cutoff, Krahula with the ace-8 of diamonds on the button, about 8.5 bigs.
You got 2 players who've been active a lot. Could be a good spot to rip it. I mean, 8 bigs is kind of tough because you feel like you're likely going to get called a lot. Really tough spot here with ace-8 suited. It's brutal with only 8 bigs. You know that the blinds are coming around at 5-handed. They're coming around pretty quickly. You do have to make a move.
Will that move be made right here, right now? No.
It's going to give it up. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
Like 8 bigs. Like if
No
you
real
had like
fold
18,
equity there.
it feels like you don't have a lot of fold equity. Especially as loose as kind of your opponents have shown they can call.
So it'll be Ricci and Farhat heads up to a flop of queen, queen, 3, 2 spades. Ricci's hand is best.
Now he's hoping that there's a large collision between these two now that he's folded.
Right.
As we see, 9-10 didn't touch the flop, so unless he decides to get tricky, nope, he's going to give it up. 5 takes it down.
Nice little run for Ricci. We'll show the 5s.
Mr. Ricci, serious player. He never bluff.
Says you never bluff.
Yeah, just a really tough spot with 8 big blinds, ace-8 suited, raise, call.
Yeah.
I mean, you can likely say that the caller's probably not super strong, but and Ricci's played a lot of hands, but you know, you really don't want to get called.
Non, il est devant, mais j'ai une bonne main.
Then?
Every one of our final 5 looking for their first World Series of Poker bracelet. Ricci has a World Series of Poker circuit ring from winning the main here in September. Man, you were close to another bracelet this summer, or fall.
It's both. Remember I got second
Yeah,
in the
both.
in the
That's
restaurant.
right.
I got 2
A
second.
night out with David Williams and then a World Series of Poker event.
2021 has been painful. I
Right.
got second for my second bracelet twice. I feel like it's never going to come, you know, but it's funny, I've been talking to Josh because he's been stuck on his 2. I was stuck on 1. He got his second in 2005. I got my first in 2006, and we were both like, man, we're old men and we can't win anymore. And then he just snaps
runs off
2 and the player of the year. So it gives him hope, you know.
Check blind.
Gives hope.
Ah.
Maybe I need a few more years.
Check.
Small blind, big blind, Jahjaga with the king-8 limps. Ricci checks. He flops a king. Doesn't bet it. I'd like to bet there. Your opponent probably doesn't have an ace. It's okay. You give your opponent some room. If he does bet, you're going to definitely call there with a king. Ricci does pick up a flush draw now when Jahjaga bets. You're going to see, I think, a call here. Should be fairly easy. 1 million. 8 of spades would be a joker. It's not.
River brings another 10. Quick check by Jahjaga. Does Ricci think the door is open here to fire?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with 9 high, you don't want to surrender $3.5 million. He might take a stab at it. And Jahjaga is going to be put to a test, right? Your opponent probably doesn't have an ace. You would have raised pre-flop when you limped in. Did he call you with a 10? Did he check back a 10 on the flop? I mean, that could be what he's representing here. There's not a lot of air balls other than spade draws that would have called you on the turn that are now nothing on the river.
Goes pretty small here to the tune of 1.4 million.
I think he's going to look him up, but he could lay it down. He's shown he's been fairly cautious.
Yeah.
But you have to think of the story your opponent's telling, right? Like, what does he have? Nothing makes sense.
Pretty quick call from Jahjaga, and he will extend his chip lead.
It's kind of spot where it's either a 10 or a nothing. It's not likely he's value betting. Has the other hands that he's value betting.
And if you have any hope or dreams of folding out a king, don't you need to size up on the river?
I think so. I don't even know if Ricci was trying to fold out a king. Maybe he was trying to fold out just
the
queen
jack
high.
highs of the
well,
world.
not queen jack high because that's Broadway.
Right. The queen highs and jack highs. Yes. Rephrase.
I mean, he has to figure 9 high is no good.
Right.
That's his best chance at winning the pot. I don't think it was trying to get your opponent to fold kings. I think it's just my opponent doesn't have a hand that strong.
Jack 8 of diamonds for Jahjaga. He's been on fire today.
Yeah, back to that hand. I just don't think Jahjaga's likely limping like a 7-8 and then firing the turn, right? Like, he's just hasn't been that type of player, which is why I don't think you want to make that bluff with 9 high. Even though you're surrendering with 9 high, what do you think your opponent limped, bet that turn? You know what I mean? Like, even if he connected on the 3, he's probably looking you up on that 3. So, yeah, not a huge fan of that bet. Once you think about your opponent and their range and how they played it. Jahjaga with the Jack 8 suited gets it through on the button.
All in call.
Of course.
Chip leader.
Almost half the chips in play, 5-handed.
Hey, Jack.
I look at Jack.
What a run it's been for the cash game player out of Kosovo.
Yeah, with one player having, 8 bigs, about to have, he's in the big blind now, so now he's going to have 6 after the hand. And the other players all being about 20, the chip leader having so many chips can really put them in a blender. He can just kind of raise at will. As we saw, like, four-handed with Corey Aldemer, he was just raising, and they really couldn't do anything. Granted, the pay jumps were substantially larger. He can still kind of do the same thing, you know. He's got ace-4 off here. I'd like to see a raise here. When you've got the big blind only having 8 big blinds.
I think with that kind of chip lead, now being results-oriented, of course, good fold because Ricci looks down at 2 9s on the button.
Farhat is dominated with the offsuit 9. He's going to give that up. And now it's on our short stack in the big blind. He's got an ace.
Ace 5.
I think you've got to go with it here.
Yeah.
As short as he is. This should be a no-brainer. You are the shortest. There's no one to wait for. Your stack's only getting shorter every 5 hands. We've seen some tight folds from him, but here we go.
Yeah, just about most of it. There's the all-in, there's the call, and here we go.
No, it was the 3-bet to 2.4, what I talked about, but it's the same thing. He's all in. Here we go. He's going to get the bad news. He's only got 1 overcard.
And all in and at risk with that ace 5 against the 9s of Andrea Ricci.
Ça pi payé, ça fait moi j'ai 2 millions, 2 millions, 3 millions.
We've seen what the best hand has held up every all-in so far.
Except at the beginning, that King Jack versus Ace Queen.
Oh, you're right.
To eliminate Gabriele Re.
But we haven't seen any really far behind hands come back. Even that one was, I guess, 2-1, but.
About 70-30 here. Krahula's tournament life on the line.
That picture from afar, Krahula looks a little like Ben Lamb when you kind of like
I could see that.
And look at it. I feel it this time, though. I think the ace is coming. Patience is rewarded.
Doesn't come on the flop, but Krahula does flop the wheel draw. So now looking for an ace or a 3. Does have backdoor clubs as well.
We're going to get the 9 of clubs and then the 3 of diamonds. We got the virtual rail chanting for an ace or a 3.
Turn card is the 6. And now an open-ended straight draw for Krahula. You see the outs bottom of your screen looking for an ace, an 8, or a 3 to stay alive.
Exactly. 22.
River card, the 10. And that does it for Roman Krahula, our poker dealer out of the Czech Republic. Finishes in 5th place for 38,095 euros.
Not a bad payday for $550 euro entry.
Especially when your career live tournament earnings entering this, just $824.
Yeah, but the backdoor flag.
It says he's a poker dealer. I wonder where he deals at. It says Czech
It
Republic. He might deal here at the Kings.
Might be here.
You think he's going to go back to dealing?
38K score. Might be feeling good about yourself as well. You should. Finishing 5th out of a 2,478 entry field. And that leaves our final 4. Edmond Jahjaga, significant chip leader here. Ricci now in 2nd. Calzoni and Farhat, the smaller stacks, both at about 20 bigs. So there's still some room here. This leaderboard is presented by GG Poker, as are our payouts. 50K guaranteed to 4th. About a 17K pay jump from 4th to 3rd up top in this one. More than 147,000 euros. And that World Series of Poker bracelet. Jeff Platt alongside David Williams in the broadcast booth.
Oh, 2 8s on the button. No one is really short. 2 players under 20 big blinds. One with about 30 and one with 60. 4-handed.
I'll make it 1.1. Calzoni in the 7-6 suited.
I think we're going to see him defend here. As we see, he's in really bad shape.
Just
unders.
one big blind for this hand.
Standard here from both players.
Ace King 5 all hearts. Not the dream flop for any of these hands. Farhat with the positional advantage.
Simo.
Pretty tough for 2 8s here. You're going to see a bet here. Doesn't have to bet much. You're not going to get rid of any flush draws, but you weren't going to get rid of those probably anyways. You're just really betting if your opponent has nothing. But again, I mean, that's the kind of spot where if your opponent has nothing, where he's folding to the 500, maybe give him a little rope. Maybe just check back and see if he'll bluff at it. Again, it's tough to play. They're not that deep, so it's really hard. You just want to take down these pots. Low risk, 500K to win.
Quello mister
2.5 million.
Faccio un quarto del punteggio.
Io, se ti aspetti full equity dal K mi piace il bluff. Se ti aspetti full equity dal K però non passa al K.
Capito, è quello il problema. Solo se hit mi conviene, sì, sì. I don't have any ace in my range.
Got 2 Italians, 1 from France and 1 from Kosovo.
King Queen is what Ricci opened with.
Fairly big hand, 4-handed.
King 3 parts, big blind.
Suited king, men, basically, yeah, it is a men raise. I think we're going to see a defend here. He could start 3-betting. He is, you know, he does have a dominant chip position, and the other players have to be aware of each other. You know.
Kind of a cool spot to put some pressure on your opponents. We'll just call though.
Yeah.
See a flop of Jack 9-4 with 2 hearts. The flush draw for Jahjaga. The gutter for Ricci, whose king high is best.
Be interesting to see if Jahjaga has any check raises in here, or if he's just going to call keep the pot small. Again, like I've kind of stressed, being the chip leader here with these players all being sort of bunched up at the bottom, you can apply some pressure. Your check raise is going to win you the pot a lot. But he obviously just call.
Yeah.
Throws in one single 500K chip. 10 of hearts would be a tough one.
A king ball on the turn. Might look pretty for Jahjaga, but Ricci is in command here. Bet small again, 1.1 million.
I think if I'm Jahjaga here, I'm at this stage now, I'm just calling.
Yeah.
If my opponent is bluffing, I'd like to let him keep bluffing. I've got a lot of equity. If he's got me beat, he's likely not folding. Not going to check raise out any better hands.
10 on the river, straight comes in for Ricci. Almost 6 million in the pot.
Jahjaga checks his one pair. It's a pretty big pot. I think Ricci's sizing. Kind of wants to bet small. You want to entice your opponent, I think, to call here. It's going to be hard.
Does indeed bet small, very small, 1.4.
You want to be able to get called by one pair hands here.
And there was that quick call by that one pair hand.
1 million?
Ricci up to almost 20 million in chips.
Yeah, Jahjaga, you could see he didn't really feel that strong. You feel confident with your, obviously your straight is good, but you don't want to bet too much. You want to try to get paid there. It's unfortunate for Jahjaga that he hit the king on the turn. Cost him some extra chips.
Donc ils sont toujours in les autres. C'est bien.
Wonder if a large check raise on that flop would have won it for him. Ricci did have 2 overs in the gut shot, so he could have been sticky, but I don't think so if the check raise with a big check raise with 2 other players and 20 bigs.
So that establishes more of a separation between our top 2 and our bottom 2. Farhat, the 9-7 of clubs.
Wow, he's shown a propensity to play suited hands here. 4-handed cutoff.
Calzoni about 15 bigs and the king 10 on the button.
Yeah, I think that's why his decision was what it was the stack size of Calzoni behind him. Only having 15 big
Jahjaga, it did look like he had a decision, but now we can see that he has the queen deuce.
Oh man, look at this.
You've had enough camera time, Edmond. Just into the muck is fine.
The big sigh. 5-3 suited. Can't get in there.
That's how you do it.
Calzoni down to 15 bigs, and he hasn't really lost a pot. It's just time. Father time.
Entered the final table with a little bit more than 12 million. Was one of our chip leaders.
Erano da 20. Adesso ricontrollo, ma penso che siano 20.
Yeah, he's just been patient.
Yeah.
Allowing other players to bust around him, waiting for a spot. Granted, he is short now. All it takes is 1 double, and he's right in the mix. He's got some time still. Could be an easy fold for him here. I also like that he hasn't wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know? He just looks and mucks. A lot of respect for that.
King 10.
Chip leader on the button. King 10, 4-handed. Pretty standard here to raise. All the players seem to be min raising 1 million.
Yeah, Jahjaga's first raise of the day was more than 3x, but everything since then, I think, has been for the min. Right back here Wednesday with another stream on this very channel. That'll be the 25K Platinum High Roller.
Do you know of any big name
see,
pros that are out
through
there?
the updates. Excellent job by Poker News, of course, on those. See Joni Jokamainen. Elke is in the mix.
Okay.
Johan Guibert, Mr. Yo Viral. Anatoly Filatov. Ola Shemion made the trip. Jack Sinclair. Got some names.
All right, all right. Should be a fun final table. Some high-level play.
Stoyan Medanji, winner of the WSOP Online main on GG last year.
We did that one.
We did that
Yeah,
one
we did
indeed
that
from
was
the
our
Poker
guy.
Go studio.
Sorry.
Farhat with the deuces, just rips it in the small. Calzoni with the ace-3 suited.
It's funny, if he only knew what his opponent had, he'd probably beat him in the pot, but you can't. You know, you've got to disfigure your 3. You only got 1 over. It's unlikely they have a 2 in their hand, or a pair of them. You do have an ace, though. Your opponent's range of hands probably includes a lot of king highs, maybe some suited queens. Another really tough spot. You shove here with the deuces, you can never feel great. I feel like, wasn't there was a WPT way in the back where it was like Patrick and Doyle. In Doyle, one of them shoved with like 3s, and the other one found ace deuce or something like that. It was, and they got it all in. It was pretty ridiculous.
Gonna lay it down.
That the 3s were like somehow a massive favorite. I think Patrick shoved with the ace deuce and Doyle called him with 3s, and he found an undercard. He may look back on this broadcast and wish he had that one back. A coin flip to get right back in there.
No.
I like that shirt.
Yeah.
Little clouds.
Some
going on.
style on this final table.
Nice cuffs.
Farhat rocking the scarf. And the big glasses, which might be an understatement.
Small blind here, 10-8 offsuit.
Limson, Jahjaga says run it. Jack 7-3 gut shots for both. Calzoni going to lead here.
Gonna fire. Like to see
Like
it.
it.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna be limping hands like this, you can't just limp check. And
Yeah,
then muff.
then you're just put in a ton of tough spots.
Yeah, you've
instead
got to have
lead.
some bets. Jahjaga with a gut shot.
Oh. Comes in for a raise, a small raise at that. Makes it 1.3 million.
He sniffed this one out.
Yeah.
He figured out, I think my opponent actually had a hand he was willing to go with. He probably would have bet more, played it differently. I'm going to represent a jack. Maybe he even folds a 7, he's thinking. Little does he know, he found the perfect hand to do this against. His opponent has just a gut shot himself.
Lays it down. Jahjaga gets it done.
Sta risando un jack, dici?
Sì.
I'd love to see it.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have jack?
Yes.
Lies right to us. Do you have a jack? Yes, I do.
Only Jack, yeah?
Jack 8.
Jack 8, yeah.
Jackie.
Gets so specific with it, too.
Jack
Here's
8.
exactly what I had.
Quickly
which
and
is
confidently.
not what he had at all.
Può essere che stia risfoldando anche lui, su
Jack 8, he says confidently. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. 10 high. But I have 10 of spades.
Sounds like 10 high.
Backdoor flush. And blogger flush draw.
Farhat here seemed to have tightened up with the short stacks behind him. Short stack, I should say.
Yeah, that's that short stack, Calzoni.
One time fold, no? Never, eh? Ah, no, maybe you raise. Ah, you want to raise. Ah.
Does want to raise with the 7-3 off.
Yeah, and he's purely playing his stack
And
in the
it's
situation
gonna
of the
work.
tournament.
You went good, bro, no?
Let's see what he says this time about what he
You
had.
went good.
Yeah, no,
You
he
never
play
stopped,
also
you
good.
never fall.
Play
you
play
never
good.
fall, bro.
Easy game.
Amazing,
Play also.
Yeah, easy game.
Don't touch my big man, bro.
A warning from Farhat.
Like to see Jahjaga really pick it up, start raising a lot more. I mean, really apply pressure. Picks up 1.25 every hand he's able to get through and do that.
7-6 on the button.
I'd be raising almost all my hands in this situation.
Goes 1.2.
Queen 8 off hits the muck, and 7-4 is going to hit the muck too. Another 1.25
Don't
Yeah.
leader.
touch my big blinds.
Just continues to extend his chip lead.
Notice he didn't raise to $1 million here. He
Yeah.
made it a little more. I think that's indicative of the
Nice,
player in the
nice,
big
nice.
blind. Has shown a propensity to call a little more than.
Usually easy
Not.
to your move. Don't touch my big blind.
Sometimes yes.
You always say
sometime
that.
no. Sometimes
Yeah.
yes.
Don't touch my big blind.
Being four-handed, though, he's only going to really be able to open 2 out of 4 hands. The other 2 he will be in the blinds. But if it folds to him in the small, he can open, and it's tough to play when he's in the big. So he should really be able to increase his chip stack position in this with this lead. Cut off, also known as under the gun.
So
Four-handed.
we are down to 4.
Lays one down.
Ace-3 off for Farhat with the small stack in the big blind. Just limps here. I think you would see a lot of players just rip for 12 bigs effective.
As we see, he has his opponent dominated. It would have worked. Not sure what Calzoni's thinking about. I don't really think we're going to see a raise here, but he could save that my opponent is likely limping weak, so I'm not really playing my cards. I'm playing the situation. If he were to choose to make a move here and rip it all in, but nope. The benefit of that, though, is by doing that posturing, you know, he does kind of give the illusion that he might have something semi-strong, not something as weak as deuce-3 off.
But, hey, I could have had King-9 here.
It's just being so
Checks,
short, it's
yeah.
really tough. Doesn't have a lot of room to bluff. If you're wrong, you lose such a large percentage of your stack. I think the risk outweighs the reward of trying to bluff here. Just because your opponent limped and checked it to you twice or even 3 times, you don't have to always attack and spew that here with only 5.8 million.
Ace high.
It's good.
Calzoni chooses not to fire at all.
Now he gets some information. Now
That's
he
true.
knows
That's true.
the kind of hands Farhat is limping in here. So now he can be a little more cautious or just use that information correctly.
Call the all-in with ace-3, yeah?
If I shove, you goal.
Of course.
Of course. He says, of course. It's got to feel good here.
This is for you.
Break then, last then break.
Last
yeah?
hand.
This is the last hand?
Last hand before we send our
Last
players
hand,
off on a
2
break.
open, look.
If I raise, I have a good hand. Okay, fold
Okay,
everybody.
Ricci, okay,
Fold
okay.
everybody.
You're serious.
I fold.
Fold
Easy life,
everybody.
guys.
Farhat with ace-deuce on the button.
Right. 1 million.
He knows that ace-deuce, ace-high is likely to be the best hand here. I think his clearly raise and folding to a 3-bet.
You set up my big blinds, huh?
Of course.
Jahjaga says no thanks with the king 4. And that will send our players off on a break.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, let's take a look at our leaderboard presented by GG Poker. And that leaderboard finds Edmond Jahjaga's name on top. Almost 28 million in chips, almost half the chips in play four-handed. Andrea Ricci is our most experienced player. He's in second. Riadh Farhat in third. Our short stack, Matthew Calzoni, a little less than 6 million in chips. Almost 148K up top, and that WSOP bracelet, we're back in 15. Thanks for watching World Series of Poker Europe.
Nearly a 3-2 dog heading to the flop. His tenure here at the final table once again hangs in the balance. To the flop we go. Jack, Jack, 6, and the kings are looking much better now. 4-1 dog is Parkhamenko. Does have the clubs working. Perhaps some backdoor Broadway action. Of course, that clean ace would be a welcome sight. Instead, it's a 4, and now it is just 3 outs once. And you see Parkhamenko reaching for what would appear to be his belongings. The hat finds its rightful place. Looks like he's holding on to the rest of his stack. And it's time to release him. Parkhamenko, with a round of handshakes, has been eliminated in 7th place.
Or begins.
Spades in all 3 spots that have decided to hop in thus far. The villain, Sabo, putting some of those newfound chips to work with the ace-king 10-5. Bradley has chosen to come along as well. Oh my goodness. Look at the statement being made here by the chip leader.
Oh, this is extremely aggressive.
Pots it to 650,000.
Wow.
Queen high hearts and ace queen 8-6. And clearly he is trying to send the message that he holds the aces in this spot. And Yankov's hand shrivels considerably, especially with Bradley still left behind him.
Oh my.
But he decides he wants to draw a line in the sand. Ian out of the way. And a beautiful opportunity for Yankov to do far more than double up here. A near 3-2 favorite.
If you didn't do it, I was doing it. Special forces. Yeah, I was.
Not a fair coin, if you call this a flip. And Stranak having a laugh. Obviously, he took his shot here, but he picked the wrong man. Pretty gutsy call there from
Great
Yankov.
recognition by Yankov. I don't know how he did it. I don't know if he picked up some sort of read or tell.
So 1.88 in the middle. To the flop we head. Queen in the window, followed by a 6 and an 8. 3 pair for Stranak. For Yankov, it is the gut shot straight draw that works. Tenor jack would be useful as well. Instead, it's a 4. Stranak wants to hold. Yankov needs the jack 10 or 9 here. Can the Bulgarian stay alive? No. It's a 4 on the river. Queens and 8s for Samuel Stranak, and incredibly fortunate and wildly unamused. Now Now the 9 of hearts on the turn. You did foreshadow that backdoor flush draw. He's also picked up a gut shot.
Sort of a dream ticket for Stronach, adding that equity alongside the hearts with that straight draw you mentioned. And as we can see, a queen would also be live. 35% now to win the pot for Stronach. I have to imagine that Mozaffarian with top 2 with a bonus 9.
So would it make sense here to deny equity and just come with something very big?
I think you bet pot, right? We're not concerned about being up against
any
a
sets,
set, right? Yeah.
4s don't rate to be in his hand, and we block all of the big sets.
Yeah.
But he doesn't come with full pot. He comes with 675. Meaningful, but laying better than 2 to 1. What a call.
Stronach just, I don't think he can fold with this price now. He's going to have to call 675,000 with the nut draw. Keep in mind there are 2 8s in the deck that would also improve Stronach's hand. Those are live. Any jack, any queen, any 8, any heart. Consideration, perhaps wondering if he could ever be up against a set of aces or 10s. And oh my gosh.
And he is seeking to put the decision back to Mozaffarian, but there was really no way Amir was going to fold. And you see the disappointment instantly for Stronach, who understood that a call here meant that he for sure was no good. But the good news for him is he has outs. And they are going to play a huge one, Brent.
Well, you can say that again, Ali. This is the pot of the final table thus far. Here we go.
One to come. 35% is Stronach. Is at risk. Needs to fade the jack, the queen, and the heart. And the river is the queen. Aces and queens for Stronach. And just like that, Amir Mozaffarian, who played so well here at this final table, finds himself showered.
A horrific bad beat for Mozaffarian. Had all the momentum, played so solid, as you mentioned, Ali. But it is Stronach's aggression that is now paid off on a critical river.
I put it here just because I know it's going in. I can't do it. How much is it? It's 300 exactly. You have to do it.
Nadarov has found the kings.
I think I do.
On the button, he makes it 175, and Stronach is going to ask for the rest of it with ace 9, 8, 7, and clubs.
Yeah.
Snap call.
We're in there. amazing. This is just a straight coin flip. King 9 deuce versus ace 9 8 7. Equities run so close.
I thought he had a hand like I had. Even then. That was pretty much a slow roll.
685K. And Madarov's tournament life. Hanging in the balance. To the flop, and it's ace king 8, so top set for Madarov, but Strának does have an aces full draw. Multiple things cooking. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Aces full of 8s for Strának, and now Madarov has just one out, the king. If you've ever wanted to see what it looks like to get hit with the deck, play back this final table as Samuel Strának again showers someone. Madarov out of there in fourth, 31,000 and change going his way.
18 blinds.
Position then says call.
Oh my goodness.
He has made trip 8s here with a gut shot straight draw. And Strának says check, and did Sabo rip the rest of his hand in there? He did, and you see Strának almost sympathetically making the call. He can do no wrong.
This is an incredible heater. Down the stretch of this final table, Strának looking to get this thing heads up if he can hold.
I mean, hand the man the bracelet.
My goodness.
$4.4 million chip pot. Sabo just 2 outs.
Je lepšia karta v deku po srdcovom mese? Počkaj, všetci stáli, keď proti tebe hrali. Ja sa posadil, lebo ťa saknem.
The delay. Excruciating
To všetkých sakal to, čo
for
si
Sabo.
Kámoško, ja tebe, veď som s tebou tak
Seems to be
50 podívy, podľa mňa.
taking it well for the
Vieš
time
čo,
being.
ale ak to prehrám, prajem to tebe. Eso!
Oh my God!
Oh my goodness, he did it. Wow.
Ešte nie je koniec. Ale prosím ťa, Sámo. Čo tam chceš, čaláďo? Čo tam hľadáš? Včerajší deň? Čo je?
Well, let's not celebrate too soon. This man
Ne, že tu mu to dáš. Zase opatrne.
still has one out. Comes the river. Okay.
Kolečko ešte jedno.
And a victory lap for Sabo.
Koľko na ten kokot?
Oh, you love to see
Sweet
it.
justice.
Yeah.
Queen Jack 8-8 up against Queen 10-9 deuce. King Jack 10 and Sabo flops the second nuts. Bradley
This is,
says pot.
yeah. Well, Bradley's going to need to get lucky here.
10, yeah?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, we need to hit.
I have second nuts.
I am.
In trouble.
Well, you need an ace to win?
Come on. This
And
is my
importantly,
first
Sabo
one.
also has a 10, so
It's so nice. Come on. Oh, okay.
the ace won't be an
We got-
issue.
we got
That would just be a chop.
So he have like clubs, nines to chops. You don't have clubs? No, no. Oh wait, we have only chop. No chop. No chop. Come on, Slovakian heads up for bracelet. What the fuck? Come on, come on. What is 10? 10, 10, 10. 10 is good. 10.
Sabo, moments ago, looked like he was going to get showered with those aces. Now finds himself in a spot where he might be showering Bradley as he and his rail await the turn.
I'm greedy. Oh, deuce. No, 10, 10. 10 is good. 10 is good. Come on.
2.14 million chip pot.
Come on. Hakuna Matata, I want to scream. 10. Yes! Good. Yes. Okay, okay.
4
Hakuna Matata.
is clean.
10.
Now,
10.
Bradley cannot win. He can only chop
Come on.
with a
go
9
spade. Spade.
or
I
an
want
ace.
spade. I want spade. Come on, spade. Spade, spade, spade.
The river, and it's the ace. Let's carve it up.
Uh-huh.
Never in doubt.
Welcome back to the King's Resort in Rozvadov, Czech Republic. Welcome back to World Series of Poker Europe, and welcome back to our final table coverage of the Colossus. Jeff Platt alongside David Williams inside the broadcast booth, and we are down to 4, fighting for a first place prize of 147,775 euros, along with that coveted World Series of Poker bracelet. Edmond Jahjaga is our chip leader, Andrea Ricci in second, Riadh Farhat in third, Matthew Calzoni in fourth. David, thoughts on what we've seen so far in this event?
You know, I'm surprised because I expected when I saw the chip stacks and the positioning that we would see a lot of tight passive play and just kind of sitting around. But a lot of the players have shown they're willing to mix it up. They've gotten in there, some to their detriment, but they've been, you know, they've been active. So it's been fun to watch. Impressed by our chip leader. He's keeping his foot on the gas. It's nice to see.
We're up
Jahjaga.
to 300K, 600K with a 600K big blind anti-Jahjaga with a very small raise, all things considered, blind versus blind, but it works as Ricci folds the 10 deuce.
You know, it doesn't take much when you know your opponents are trying to kind of outlast each other and ladder up. Sometimes a simple raise is just all you need, just a small raise. Trying to get him to fold the bottom percentage of his hands, maybe even the middle ones.
Our final 4 guaranteed 50,506 euros, about a 17K pay jump from 4th to 3rd.
7, 8.
8 million, no more.
No, bro.
Ooh, a couple of 8s.
18.
18 million. 18.
I have
18.
Pink chips worth 500K. Brown / blackish chips worth 100K
wow.
piece.
22,
Yep, the blues are gone.
Okay. More, yeah.
Yeah, why
More.
say 7?
I don't know why.
Okay. It's not a lot.
1,200,000.
Back to the min raises. He put that little cherry on top, the 1.3 in the small blind.
Jack 7 of diamonds for Farhat. He'll defend.
He's got about 15 bigs behind.
Nine, 6, 3, 1 diamond. Jahjaga's 8s are best. Couple backdoor draws for Farhat, who checks.
Yeah, and I think Jahjaga is going to bet here, and it's pretty hard to play when you're that short, even though he does have some backdoors and an over. You need to be a little bit deeper to continue. I don't think you can call. And a quick fold.
Like you said, Jahjaga will bet. Farhat will fold. More chips headed in the direction of Edmond Jahjaga out of Kosovo. His first ever recorded live tournament cash. Is in line to make it a pretty big one.
It's not playing like it, you know. I'm shocked to find out he doesn't. He seems to be, you know, a lot of players, I think, in his position would not stay as aggressive as he's been. So I'm happy to see that.
Calzoni now our short stack in the big blind with less than 10 bigs to start the hand.
I like how we call it the cutoff instead of under the gun when it's four-handed.
Jack 8 for Ricci. Flings it into the muck. Farhat limps in.
Reader didn't pick those up, just limps in. As we've seen earlier, his range of hands here is pretty wide. I mean, it could literally be anything. He's played all ranges of hands in this position. Now, he does know his opponent only has 4.4 million, which is about, what, 6, 7 big blinds, a little more than 7 big blinds. We saw him limp ace-3 earlier, so he could be limping one of the stronger hands that could call if his opponent shoved, or he could be limping totally nothing. His opponent shoves all in, and he mucks pretty quickly, so.
Calzoni back up to about 10 bigs.
We missed both those hands with the reader, but
10% of the chips in play for one of our Italians. There's our chip leader with half of the chips in play. Edmond Jahjaga. Andrea Ricci in second place. Most experienced player at this final table. Won the World Series of Poker Circuit Main in Riadh back in September. Riadh Farhat is in third.
I think you're going to see play from the rest of the players. As we've seen, it's tightened up quite a bit. It's taken a lot to really get in there. Nobody wants to make a misstep with the pay jumps are fairly substantial.
It's about 100 bigs on the table as Jahjaga gets a walk.
Ace of spades.
Ooh. Our coverage of World Series of Poker Europe will continue on Wednesday with the final table of the 25K Platinum High Roller. We'll showcase a couple more tournaments, a couple 6-max events, and then the World Series of Poker Europe main event. Stream currently scheduled for December 8th. Right here on this very channel, but things always subject to change. Be sure to follow WSOP on Twitter. Follow GG on Twitter as well, at GG Poker.
Queen 5 suited. He likes the spades. We've seen him play up, gives it up. We've seen him play spades a few times.
Ace-10 of clubs on the button for Calzoni with 10 bigs.
Yeah, this is going to be a clear shove here from our short stack. Nothing else you can really do with it.
All of it.
I applaud him for acting quickly.
Yeah. Jahjaga. Not sure, but he folds. Ricci.
Ooh, ace-8 suited. Four-handed, 10 bigs. I think he's going to call here.
Here's the squeeze of that ace-8 of spades. Ask for a count. And yeah, when he sees it's about 10 bigs, this hand looks pretty appealing.
Wow.
Does make the call, and here we go.
Who's asking him, do you have an ace? He's like, I do.
Calzoni, the one all in and at risk, in good shape with the ace-10 of clubs against Ricci's ace-8 of spades.
And we did see 2 spades to hit the muck.
That's true.
Fairly standard by both players. Just cooler situation for Ricci.
Calzoni could get back up to a little bit more than 20 bigs.
Who are you taking? You smell a bad beat here? We haven't had one yet.
We are due, huh?
We are due.
Good luck. Good luck, guys.
Calzoni was my pick to win. I still said it.
He's probably going to need to win this one then to have a chance.
Just liked his vibe. He's been vibing.
He's got to like this flop as it comes Queen 4 deuce with no spades.
Hit a 10 on the turn and you just win it.
Turn card. It's a 9. It's a pretty good one for Calzoni, who just has to dodge an 8 on the river to stay alive. And that river card, it's a 3. Calzoni with the double.
12.7. Ricci's now, I think, our short stack with 15 big blinds. Not much he could do there.
Right.
He probably feels a little bad. You know, it feels bad always losing that pot, but, you know, that's super standard when you're four-handed. The guy's got 10 big blinds. You wake up with ace-8 in the big blind. Not much he could have done differently there, other than hit an 8.
right.
But everything he did was correct.
Calzoni jumps all the way up to second.
The other players hate to see that.
With a 17K pay jump from 4th to 3rd.
We were watching some of the coverage, me and my girlfriend, and she saw the other players celebrate when like another player got eliminated and she didn't get it. She was like, that's so mean. And I was like, well, no, every time someone's out, that benefits them. You know, that's money in their pockets. Like they all win.
Un po' foldabile, infatti, cool.
Adesso sei foldo.
I think Calzoni mentioned that was a cooler, and all things considered in that specific spot, do tend to agree.
Especially at this stage of the tournament with the chip stacks that they are, you know, every pot is so crucial that now Ricci is like at the bottom, whereas if he wins that, he's in second with a good shot at, you know, contending for the chip lead, and now he's kind of where Calzoni is, you know, now where he was. He's just trying to double himself and get back in there. So, yeah, it really stings when it feels like there was nothing you could have done. Now you pick up deuce 3 suited. We're going to see an implosion here. He's going to limp in, just going to limp. 3 high, and his opponent picks up king 10 suited. Really strong hand, four-handed blind on blind.
Yeah, all of it.
And he shoves all in.
Yeah, I don't think we need this.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be an interesting call with 3 high,
but low.
Yeah, he's 35%, you know, but I think he's just posturing here. He wants his opponent to not know he's just limping the garbage.
Right,
you know, try to give off the illusion that he's limping hands that you would think about calling with. Borderline hands. We can see he's not. He's just burning some of the clock.
There's the fold. There's the win for Farhat.
Just got to be happy he didn't just open jam. He would have gotten called and been in a bad spot.
Well, the door is open for Edmond Jahjaga to just run this table over.
Yeah, with these players being so short. And it really even puts Calzoni in a tough spot in second because he doesn't want to bust.
Just 20 bigs.
With 2 players being so short. So Jahjaga could really open it up here. It's funny, I was just applauding him for not taking his foot off the gas. He hasn't played a pot since. I think he forgot about the reader, or maybe his chips are on top of it, but
a little interference there.
We haven't seen his hands in a while. Usually I feel like we see a little square on the table. I don't see the square. Maybe it's just a mark.
Ooh, good one for Ricci on the button.
Okay. Here. Okay.
Oh, and they're telling Jahjaga to perfect showing his cards to the reader. All of it.
Ricci with 14 bigs, moves all in. Farhat wakes up with an ace in the small blind.
How much?
Oh, no. He's got very similar stack. He's got about 16, 15 himself.
I'd be pretty surprised if he called for 14. But he's acted super interested.
8,300,000 something.
I mean, there's an argument to say had Ricci just done like a min raise. Obviously, you don't want to play a flop. You want to just pick up these blinds here. But you do induce your opponent to make mistakes. Like, I think had he just min raised, Farhat might move in on him, thinking he's just trying to pick up some blinds here with a less than
have a lot of potential there to get the chips in a dominant fashion.
Ends up in a dominant position. Now, that could just be because you see the hands. And
sure.
Most of the time when you've got 14 bigs, you're just going to shove it in with ace-king. But it does allow your opponent to make a misstep. It's a lot harder for him to make a mistake now.
Ace-king just might be too good to just shove. And Farhat is going to go with it. With the ace-6 off.
Yeah.
He's in some bad shape here.
He's just hoping his opponent had maybe a king high, queen high, small pair. But I feel like the range of hands.
In the small blind, too. Sweat time, folks.
If you think his range includes things like 9-10 suited, 8-9 suited, even so, you're not in a dominating fashion against those hands either.
Ricci the one all in and at risk. Ricci the one ahead. Got a 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, and either going to lose a player or we're going to have one player down to 2 big blinds. So this is a crucial hand. 17K euro pay jump.
We see a 6, but there's a king behind it. And Farhat will need another 6 to bust Ricci. Turn card.
Oh, it's a 6!
The turn is a 6.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts so bad. I was just about to say, well, we still haven't seen that bad beat. Oh, the poker gods are so cruel.
And now just 2 remaining kings for Ricci to find.
And you know Ricci is in a lot of pain here. In addition, like most people would, but he knows he's got the most experience of these players. He's got to feel like he's the best player of the 4.
Yeah, the opportunity was there for Andrea Ricci. Instead, eliminated in 4th for 50,506 euros.
That hurts me here back in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I can feel that one.
The funny part is it hurts more because of the way it came down.
Yeah.
You know, had it just been 6-4-8, you know, it's like, that's rough. But to hit the 2-outer after feeling safe.
What a spike on the turn for Farhat.
Calzoni's got to be feeling good.
Yeah. 17K pay jump for everybody. Our final 3 now guaranteed. Almost 68,000 euros. About a 24K pay jump from 3rd to 2nd.
And don't forget, all these players are getting a seat in the main event.
That's right. It's 10K of value.
It's going to be the biggest tournament a lot of these players have ever played.
Sure.
I wonder how many of them will be trying to sell action maybe at a markdown.
Markdown,
yeah. Pick up some cash.
It's still profit.
Yeah. The 3-handed, the ranges really need to open up.
Yep.
You know, I'd likely be raising that on the button there. Queen 10, he's just going to limp the small blind. A little bit of trapping, a little bit of pot control. Jahjaga now, you can say, has shown he's not been kind of taking advantage of spots like that too much, so you can get away with limps there without getting punished. Ooh.
You'll flop a queen as well if you're Calzoni.
Backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw for Jahjaga.
Last time in this spot, Jahjaga raised
He
with
did,
a cutter.
And lied, said he had the Jack-8 confidently, but this time he
just fold.
Gets out of the way, figuring it out.
Calzoni, Farhat, Jahjaga, our final 3.
DJ Genesis, what? The best player of the 4? I said he likely feels like he's the best player of the 4.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't calling anybody. It's about any given day. Anybody can be better than the other, but you got to feel like his confidence was feeling. You know, he gets it in there with the ace king. He feels like, I got these guys. I got these guys. No, you don't. There's a 6 on the turn.
Je suis un pumper up, j'ai 6 moi.
2,478 entries, and we're down to our final 3.
And my pick, Calzoni, still in it to win
still
it.
Fighting. Entered the final table with 12 million in chips, has about 12 million in chips now.
Just been patient, no big missteps. Biding his time. I like to see this opening a lot looser on the button.
Yeah, and it's going to work here.
How much you play, bro? 1, 2. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
I think 12.
10, 11.
11?
11 million.
12.
6 high. Maybe you'll get something from him. Ask him questions.
Yeah, maybe.
Pick up a towel and shove it on him.
Matthew Calzoni, career live tournament earnings less than $40,000 coming into this event. Does play on GG a decent amount.
10-9 off on the button. Would love to see a raise here.
Starting the hand with 50 bigs.
His opponents are in a real tough spot to call. Here we go. Counting out chips. Risking 1.2 to pick up 1.5 if he raises, that he's the same size he's been raising. Oh, 1.4.
A little bigger, mixing it up. King 6 of clubs for Calzoni in the big. He will defend.
Suited king, button raise. Fairly standard defend here. Pretty strong hand. Deuce 4-8.
No clubs. Nothing really doing for either player.
You don't see a lot of players lead here in this spot. I feel like something that, you know, that because it's not seen so much, it's not done so much, it does show a lot of strength, but again, he checks.
Especially on flops kind of like this, 8 high flops, 7 high flops, which do hit the big blinds range a bit more.
Absolutely.
But yeah, to your point, it's very rare.
I mean, we haven't seen it once.
Right.
I think you've got to have some calls here sometimes with king high, or even some check raises. But you've got it. You can't just always check fold these hands. Maybe you like to have one club on the flop if you're going to make that kind of move. Have a little something more.
World Series of Poker Europe at King's Resort in Rosvada. Presented by Club GG and GG Poker. So we take a look at our leaderboard. Jahjaga with more than half the chips in play. Farhat's in second. Calzoni is in third. See the payouts right-hand side of your screen. 67,596 euros guaranteed to our final 3. A little bit less than a 24K pay jump from third to second. Up top in this one, 147,775 euros in that World Series of Poker bracelet.
With a first for one of these 3 players.
Jackpot alongside David Williams in our studios in Las Vegas.
Farhat, queen 8 on the button.
Bumps it up to 1.2. King 10 for Calzoni off 20 bigs in the small.
This is a spot he could shove here if he wants to. And I think it would be totally reasonable. 20 big blinds, king high, 3-handed. There might even be an argument for like a 3-bet.
Yeah, all of it.
3-bet. That's not an all-in, but I prefer an all-in here. And we're going to see Farhat lay it down. Oh, pretty quickly. Before he's kind of done a little.
Yeah, you expect some Hollywooding.
But it's like, hey, man, we're playing three-handed, okay?
Yeah,
We're going to be raising a
right,
lot
right,
lighter on the
right.
button.
It's
It's okay.
understandable.
It's okay.
To your point, the non-all-in 3-bet off that stack size becoming a bit more popular there.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, because saw Kevin Rabishow do it in the 100K high roller to close the series off a stack of like 15, 16 bigs. Was in the small blind with King 10 off and made it like, you know, 6 bigs. Michael Adamo had queens and 4-bet and he folded, but, you know, Adamo always wins, so it's not the point of the story. Eight-4 of hearts for Jahjaga in the small.
Looks like he is sizing out a raise. Got some of the big chips. I like it. Apply maximum pressure. Unfortunately for him, Farhat wakes up with a real hand. Is it 30 big blinds? Not quite. A little less. 25. Definitely need a 3-bet here. Don't think it needs to be all in. Can make it something like 4 million.
Call.
Just call.
We'll just call.
Now, it's a little tough to play. He is in position, so he gets to make his decisions based on what his opponent does, but I think Jahjaga is likely going to c-bet continuation on a lot of these flops, and you're not going to hit as often as you do, so you really have to be able to play post-flop well to make that call there with this stack size 3-handed. I would have liked to see a 3-bet there just so you don't end up in this position. Jahjaga is probably going to bet like 1.5. If you aren't able to make that call on these kind of flops, then you probably should be 3-betting pre-flop for sure. 1.8.
Yeah, 1.8.
I really don't want to see him fold here. Just allowing yourself to get outplayed in position with the best hand.
Bit too good here with ace high with backdoor straight draws.
You know, some could argue maybe 4 raise here. I think I'd rather see a call because you are in position. You get to just reevaluate on the turn without inflating the pot. Sometimes, you know, your opponent might have a jack or a 9 when you just call. Oof.
Kind of fold.
And slow down on the turn, whereas if you check raise, you really only get played with if you're crushed, but he's going to give it up. Really not a fan of that, how that hand was played.
You're just going to be taken advantage of pretty consistently if you're folding that there.
Well, I mean, your opponent's c-betting 100% so far from what we've seen.
Yeah.
I think every person, I think once someone checked back, but everyone's c-bet 100%, especially when he's first to act and you're in position. Like I said, the whole reason you're just calling pre-flop is because you're going to allow your opponent to bluff off. Oh, we got a couple aces for Jahjaga on the button.
Not just the ace of spades, but the ace of clubs as well.
Here we go.
How to proceed.
Problem here is, let's see if he's going to give it away and raise larger than normal. He is, looks like 1.4. And can't see one card, but
Farhat out of the way. This is Calzoni now.
I'd really
defend.
It works, but I like to continue men raising if you've been men raising because not a lot of danger in letting your opponents get flop when you have aces 3-handed.
There's Calzoni with the king-3 of hearts. Does flop the backdoor flush draw and the gutter. Jahjaga has the backdoor flush draw as the backdoor flush draw as well with clubs.
Is this the first time we're going to see a lead? Yeah, it is.
These are the kinds of flops.
They call this the donk bet. He bets 1.5. Now Jahjaga, there's no way he's folding here. I think
a little bit of acting here.
He's either acting or he's contemplating, do I want to raise here or just call and see a turn? You know, there's a lot of scary turn cards, anything from like a 3 to an 8, or even clubs not that scary. You have the ace of clubs. So even if you're beat, you block it, but even if you're beat, you do have outs. But anything 3, 6, 8, you know, the big blind defends, does have hands in that range usually. But he's going to go ahead and
just jam.
Jam all in. Just take it down. He's not playing. We saw that earlier with the ace-10 of diamonds. And so instead of trying to play just multiple streets, just rip it in there and let's see what the cards say.
Which, if you don't have as much experience as your opponent, is probably not absolutely terrible.
It's funny. Calzoni's got to be kicking himself. First time
he
wins
first
donk bet. And he was just led out into the razor.
And he gets the whole reaction like, oh, maybe I can get a fold here.
And he gets punished for it. It's like, oh, my.
Almost 60% of the chips in play now for Jahjaga in his first recorded live tournament cash.
I do prefer, though, this is something actually Daniel Negreanu kind of taught me way back when I first started. It's like why a lot of players in that spot bluff check raise, right? They check, let the opponent bet, and then check raise. But it's like you cost yourself so much more to accomplish what you could have accomplished by leading out.
Just leading.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Right.
So you have to be able to have some hands that you just lead to. Calzoni just limps. The king-10 suited. Setting a trap for Jahjaga. Or is he? Or is he just playing it? Or is he just playing it cautiously and a check call? Yeah. We've seen the players have been a little afraid to really show some aggression back at him.
9-8-6 all clubs, pair of eights, and the flush draw for Jahjaga.
Good shot and some overs for Calzoni. Offsuit 7, 10, or king.
He will lead here for 600K.
Was it going to happen to him again? More. Oh, look, it's the same sigh. Look back.
How do I ever proceed? All in.
Look at that. The big. I mean, that's one of the things about players who don't have as much experience. They do give away a lot via tells. But now, interesting, he just calls here. His hand's a lot stronger than before. Jesus, well, I guess not really, but kind of in relation to what he's got. Draw-wise, obviously aces are better, but he's got a big redraw.
Does turn the flush while Calzoni turns the straight.
Straight flush draw, I believe. 10 of clubs. Puts one on the board. If you're Calzoni here, it's pretty rough because you've got the straight, but you know if you get called, it's unlikely you're beating, so you just want to check and give your opponent a chance to maybe bluff it off.
Just would love to perhaps get down to showdown at this point.
Jahjaga checks back the jack-high flush. So again, it's kind of spot 2 where if you bet, you're probably not getting called by worse, except like the 10 is a straight flush, so what 5 is the flush that beats you. So you really only beat the 2, 3, and the 4. So if you get any action, you're probably beat if it's from a flush. You can't imagine your opponent has many hands that aren't flushes that play with you other than maybe straights, which he happens to have. But he checks it back.
Check, check. Calzoni will show that straight, which is no good.
I think Calzoni had the one hand that might be able to pay off a small value bet as a 10 high straight. Maybe trip 6s if he happened to have that could pay it off, but not a lot could pay that off. And again, the 10 and the 5 now beat him, so his flush actually wasn't that high of a flush.
Calzoni third in chips.
Yes.
Here we go.
300K, 600K, 600K big blind ante.
Calzoni on the button. Picks up
Ooh,
Jack 10 suited. And he's only got a little more than 15 bigs. Jack 10 suited's a good hand.
And he says all of it. Jahjaga perhaps interested, and we see why.
He's had ace king a lot today. How much?
He will ask for a count. And we know he will put some chips in.
I mean, his physical tails are just so classic. The weak win strong. There's nothing hiding about it.
Cool, yeah.
Farhat out of the way. Here we go. Matthew Calzoni all in and at risk with that Jack 10 of spades against Edmond Jahjaga's ace king.
Good to see my pick Jahjaga in the lead again.
Yeah.
I'm off this train.
Is not too far behind.
No, he's not. Jack 10 suited.
That can easily make some magic happen.
60-40, 3-2 dog.
Except you have your royal flush draw blocked by that king spades that Jahjaga holds. Can Calzoni find a little help?
If not, Jahjaga will have a commanding chip lead, heads up. Farhat, 24,000 euro pay jump if he gets it to heads up.
See the flop. Calzoni on his feet. Ooh, queen 9-7 with one spade. So the open ender for Calzoni. You see, it's about to flip right now.
10, Jack, King, 8. Running spades.
The world has opened up a bit.
It's got to feel good at least to be 50-50 after this flop.
Absolutely. Turn card. Turn brings another 7. Jahjaga the favorite. Calzoni needs some help in the form of a king, a jack, a 10, or an 8.
Deuce of hearts, unfortunately.
River card. Oh, that's another 9. And that will do it for Matthew Calzoni, the Italian, out in third, 67,596 euros.
You know, I think he played very well
Thank you.
for this final table. Jack 10 suited, 15 big blinds, totally acceptable to shove there. You know, you've got to make some moves. You've got to win some pots. And unfortunately, just ran into the buzzsaw, Jahjaga.
Classy exit as well by Calzoni. He leaves in third, and that sets the stage for heads-up play. It'll be Riadh Farhat against Edmond Jahjaga. Quick break to get set for heads-up. Before we go to break, let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. It is presented by GG Poker. There is that chip lead for Jahjaga. Almost 49 million in chips, about a 4-1 lead. They're fighting for a 147,775 euro first place prize, along with that World Series of Poker bracelet. Heads up for the title when we come back in about 5 minutes. You're watching the Colossus at World Series of Poker Europe.
And he can only chop with a 9 or an ace.
I want spade. Come on, spade.
The river, and it's the ace. Let's carve it up.
Pretty thick. Never in doubt. It's your own fault for calling with rubbish. It's your own fault for calling with rubbish pre-flop. I'm just warning you. It's your own fault.
Ian Bradley has the wrap.
Coming, right?
And the 10. Any of those side cards, by the way, would give Bradley the straight. So really the two pair comment is irrelevant. You see he's got more of the equity in the turn. 3 of clubs and the aces now take over the lead. 2.24 million in the middle. Stuck. We're just 2.5 million behind. Would love to take this one down and get heads up against his fellow countryman. Sabo, what's the river? It's an 8.
It was an 8. It was 8.
Jack 9 makes the straight.
But this one, my friend, we were one break away from heads up. From Slovakian heads up. It's Bradley, Samo.
Back in business for Bradley. He was a slight favorite when all the money went in.
And it appears that Stranak is actually going to be left with, I believe, 3.2 million as our graphic. We're blocking them. So we start to consider kings. And when the ace hits the window along with an 8 and a 4, Stranak finds himself with top pair, and Bradley's going to rip it all in here. Does have that gut shot straight draw. Not sure whether or not that was a consideration given he only had 290,000 back, and you see Stranak make the call, and Ian Bradley fought so hard to get himself to this point. And might he be vanquished?
Good shape, yeah.
No, he have kings. Oh, he have kings. Oh, he have kings with a gut shot. I think he have...
4.3 million chip pot. Ian Bradley has been all in once before here at this final table. Hit an improbable river to double and stay alive. Can he do it again? Builds here in Rozvadov. Might we finally be heads up? The 10 on the turn. No help to Bradley. Now, cannot hit a king, as that would give Stranak Broadway. So a 6 alone. His only escape. 4 outs, 1 time. Is it there? No.
Good luck.
A 9 on the river. And Stranak makes the nuts for good measure with Queen Jack and leaves the 2 Slovakian hometown men to square off heads up as he collects 44,000 euros for his day at the office. Well done, sir.
Essentially narrow this down to being a straight or nothing. He has 1 blocker in his hand to the 3-4. This is courageous by Sabo, and I give Stranak a lot of credit for thinking this through. Let's see what he decides to do, other than tie his shoe.
Most people would have sent this hand into the muck long ago, Brent, but he's thinking about it.
Sure is.
Obviously, he knows that the full pot sizing from Sabo is very polarizing. But what do we beat? Even the missed diamonds could have us beat with just some sort of raggy king.
Unlikely, though, Ali, to turn a raggy king into a bluff. At least Sabo certainly could do it, but
you're not wrong.
May just be good enough to get the showdown.
All of this is on Stranak's mind.
This would be the greatest best call of his life if he can find it.
It is for the tournament, by the way, given he only has 2.1 back. If he's wrong, he sees the bracelet and first place prize money going to Sabo, but he's right. And all he has to do is click call and lay claim to 7.4 million and a massive lead.
Wow.
Are you kidding?
Yes. What? Fuck. Fuck no.
All hail Samuel Stranak, who just made one of the sickest calls I think I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that is one of the, it's an upstate thing. I'm from upstate, so yeah, he's right. Are these guys just checking down every pot? How is this still going? It would be the stone opposite of that, back and forth.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of checking unless it was check potting.
Heads up for the title. Heads up for 147,775 euros. And heads up for a World Series of Poker bracelet. Welcome back to Razvedov, back to King's Resort.
They love their Christmas in the Czech Republic.
Really do. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The decoration's already up in late November. That's beautiful.
Getting a little FOMO.
Edmond Jahjaga versus Riadh Farhat. Jahjaga with a massive chip lead. Jeff Platt alongside David Williams in the broadcast booth. Mr. Williams, Farhat has a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to hope his opponent stops picking up big hands. Jahjaga's had the best card distribution we've seen at the final table. But, you know, you just, at this stage, there's no laddering up. There's nothing to do.
Right.
You just play good poker, heads-up poker. All it takes is one double, and then all of a sudden you got 40. You double again, you got the lead. So a couple doubles, and he'll be right back in there.
Our World Series of Poker Europe coverage presented by GG Poker. There is a look at our chip leader. His first recorded live tournament cash, and it's worth at least 91K.
Here we go, first hand. Let's see.
Farhat at about a 4-1 at chip disadvantage, entering heads-up play. And for heads-up, these hands are pretty solid.
King, queen. It's going to raise here.
Oh, and just like that, Jahjaga says all of it.
Now, we saw Farhat call with the ace-6 off before, and it was like four-handed. Oh, he called.
And says call, and let's go, just like that.
Wow. Wow.
Roi dame, il a as-9.
Farhat all in and at risk with king-queen against the ace-9 of Edmond Jahjaga.
As we see, he's only a 3-2 dog. You know, once you raise with the money in the pot, I'm not a huge fan with that many big blinds. And you get shoved all in. Jahjaga's only shown really big. This is the worst of the hands he's shown. You know, he's ace king, kings, ace queen. He hasn't really done this, I don't think. I can't recall.
Allez, vas-y, Momo, je te laisse faire le job.
Jahjaga perhaps in line to acquire his first World Series of Poker bracelet.
Maybe Farhat is just over it.
No,
he was just, I mean, listen, I got heads up in the main event. It was 7 hands, and I was just tired, you know. I got it in and was just tired. Well, granted, that was 7 days of poker. This is,
they
just resumed a final table. You got to have a little more in the tank.
Farhat looking for any opportunity to double up, it seems. Slight underdog here.
Only 60-40. Still a good shot.
Tu m'as tué les oreilles, Momo.
Doubles up here. He's right back in it.
Wow.
4-4 deuce.
Wow.
They got the deuce
No pain.
part, right?
Yeah.
Ace here, and it's just over.
Farhat wants to see a glimmer of paint for a glimmer of hope. He find it on the turn. Yes! He cannot. It's an ace.
It's an ace. It's
and just like that, that's it. His first live tournament cash is a tournament win. Edmond Jahjaga wins the title, wins 147,775 euros. And how about his first World Series of Poker bracelet?
You know, I thought he played well, especially considering he doesn't have a lot of tournament experience. He has no cashes on our board here. Everyone listed tournament poker as their favorite. He put cash game. Hey, you know, The deck gave him good cards. He played them well. His opponents made missteps. Sometimes that's the key to winning a poker tournament is not make the missteps. Let other players make them and just be there to capitalize. So hats off to Edmond Jahjaga. Well done. Congratulations. And enjoy your first World Series of Poker bracelet, man.
You think he's going to play some more tournaments now?
He's definitely playing that main event. He won a main event seat, so it'll be fun to watch him there. But like I say, it was good to watch. It was fun to watch. What a fun final table. A lot of players mixing it up. A lot of non-traditional play, I could say, but I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Nothing like the smile of a tournament winner, and he'll get to pose with all of the chips and a World Series of Poker bracelet.
Look at that. Look at that joy.
43-year-old from Kosovo.
And again, I said for the old guys.
Yeah.
I'm saying it because he's the oldest player, and I'm close to his age. It's good to see that we still got it. Poker's a young man's game, but sometimes we can take it down.
What a win for Jahjaga. Entered the final table, third in chips, and got the job done. Really did just steamroll this final table.
No major missteps at all that I can recall. Every other player, at least not every player, but most of them did something that was a little questionable. No questions here.
Started our final table with 9. Gabriele Re eliminated in 9th. Fotios Ntamaris out in 8th. Aurelio Reggi out in 7th. Zlatin Penev eliminated in 6th. Krahula, Andrea Ricci, Matthew Calzoni, Riadh Farhat all eliminated. And there is our champion, Edmond Jahjaga. Thanks so much to our crews in Rosvadov and here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks to David Williams, and most importantly, thanks so much to you all for watching our World Series of Poker Europe coverage, which is not over quite yet. We continue the action on Wednesday with our 25K Euro Platinum High Roller. And still, more tournaments to come. 1,650 Euro buy-in, no limit 6 max. We'll stream that on Thursday. A 10K 6 max added recently to the schedule. That comes your way on Saturday. And then it is coverage of the World Series of Poker Europe Main Event. That coverage currently scheduled for December 8th. One final look at the leaderboard presented by GG Poker. Edmond Jahjaga scores 4 KOs on his way to a win and a World Series of Poker bracelet. Once again, thanks to our crews. Once again, thanks to you all for watching. For David Williams, I'm Jeff Platt. Have a good one.